Chapter 69. 4J Feud. Lu Mu Yen was satisfied that Huashao had followed the direction her words wanted to take him. Seeing that almost all the people around them looked at her with the same "you're a fool" look, her lips rose into a meaningful smile. These people didn't know the value of the dark gray stone. If they knew, they'd find that the corpse of a flame unicorn beast couldn't be compared to it. But she definitely wasn't kind enough to explain the wonders of this stone's use. "Alright, I won't make a fuss about how you changed your mind previously. So I'll use 1/5 of the flame unicorn beast's corpse to exchange for this stone and those crystals." Lu Mu Yen kept holding the rock in her hand. On the surface, she appeared as if she didn't care, but she was actually afraid of it being snatched by others. 1/5? That's a little too less. Huashao's eyes widened. After seeing an entire flame unicorn beast, how could he bear to give it up? Lu Mu Yen chuckled softly, smiling exceptionally radiantly. 1/5 is already a lot. 1/5 of the corpse of my flame unicorn beast is already larger than that crimson fox. Speaking of, it seems I'm the one that's suffering a loss. Of course, if you feel that you're suffering a loss, then I'm too lazy to bother with you anymore. Just go trade with that young Mississippi. Lu Mu Yen displayed a nonchalant and indifferent gesture, throwing the dark gray stone she was playing with back to Huashao. Huashao suddenly felt that the stone that he previously considered a treasure had become a burning problem. In terms of size and value, 1/5 of the corpse of the flame unicorn beast from this purple-clothed woman was indeed far better than the red-clothed woman's crimson fox. How could one choose copper coins after seeing gold coins? He wasn't that stupid to lose something big because of something small. But this woman sure remembered her grudge as well. She still remembered how he wanted to back out earlier. "Can we discuss it a bit more? You can use 1/5 of the flame unicorn beast's corpse to trade for my stone and the crystals, but I want to discuss with you about the remainder of the corpse." Huashao pondered deeply, then decided that he would take out all the good things he had accumulated to see if he could trade them for the entire flame unicorn beast's corpse from this woman. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow as she stroked her chin under Huashao's nervous gaze, then said leisurely after a while of silence, "I'm in a good mood today, so discussing with you is fine. But this isn't the place to talk." "No worries, well, go wherever you think is appropriate." Huashao's face brightened and said with haste and urgency. As long as she was willing to talk, then there was still a chance. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him with disdain, put away the flame unicorn beast on the ground, then nodded and said, "Then let's go." Huashao packed away all the crystals from the stall, thought a little, then stuffed the dark gray stone quickly into Lu Mu Yan's hands, as if afraid she would go back on her words. "This stone's counted as a deposit, you take it first. Aren't you afraid of me running away with it?" Lu Mu Yen concealed the smile in her eyes. Everything was under her control. "Why should I be afraid? I absolutely believe in your credibility, Mississippi." Huashao's unshaven face pulled a smile that he thought was very sincere. He had never done such condescending things in his life, but for the flame unicorn beast's corpse, had bear it. Lu Mu Yen took the stone slowly and nodded, "All right. I'll temporarily accept this stone since you're pleasing to the eye. I'll return it if we don't come to an agreement." The others that heard this were completely speechless. Where was this stall owner pleasing to the eye? He had such a sloppy look, with clothes stained with soil. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. It seemed that she wasn't only just a foolish spender, but her eyes weren't good either. "Of course, we'll agree. How could we not come to an agreement?" Huashao said immediately. Even if he couldn't get the remaining flame unicorn beast's corpse, he'd still take that 1/5. "Then are you still going to trade with another? That young miss is still waiting for your reply." Lu Mu Yen looked at Enchanting Xian, who had a grim expression, and asked Huashao with a smile. She was very vengeful. She still remembered how this woman wanted to snatch her things arrogantly just now, and also her act of pointing her finger at her. Not to mention she had a feeling that in the future, she'd inevitably forge a huge feud with the woman. Since that was the case, then it didn't hurt to offend her more right now. Her intuition had always been rather accurate, and because of this keen sense of foresight, she had escaped numerous catastrophes before. "Young miss, please put your crimson fox away now." She indeed took out a corpse of a demonic beast that was higher in tier than yours, so you didn't lose unjustly. Hu Shao pointed to the crimson fox's corpse on the ground, and there was some irreverence in his eyes. Enchanting Xian took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in her heart. She glanced at Lu Mu Yen with an obscure, cold look, put away the crimson fox, then quickly left with the people she brought. After leaving the markets, Enchanting Xian's face was as grim as ink, and she ordered a man beside her, "Go and investigate that woman." A viciousness flashed past in her eyes. If that woman's background was stronger than hers, then she'd swallow this for the time being, but if that woman was just a small clan's pupil, then she'd slowly play her to death. "Yes, third young Mississippi." Lu Mu Yan looked thoughtfully in the direction Enchanting Xian left and was even more determined to find the deep orchid in the glacial mountain range. She must quickly refine the foundation establishment pill and improve her strength. After leaving the free trade zone, Lu Mu Yan smiled and asked the others, "How about we go to the commercial stores to have a look?" She wanted to collect more spiritual herbs in case of any emergency in the future. "Little sister has the say." Lu Mu Bei's indifferent eyes displayed a bit of pampering. He wouldn't ask Lu Mu Yen where she obtained the flame unicorn beast. As long as his younger sister was fine, then he'd be satisfied. Yunlan and the others wanted to go to the commercial area to have a look to begin with, so they naturally wouldn't refuse. Only Hu Shao looked miserable, but he didn't dare to offend this little grandaunt one before him, so he could only tag along with them. After the few people left, the crowd of onlookers gradually dispersed. Some of them also secretly ordered others to investigate Lu Mu Yan's background. Truth be told, Lu Mu Yan didn't really want to take out the corpse of the flame unicorn beast to trade with Hu Shao so ostentatiously. Except, after that woman interfered, and for Mo Yan's need of that stone, she could only show off a little. As for the consequences of taking out the flame unicorn beast, she had already thought about it. The marrow cleansing pill had already been known to everyone. Didn't she have a mysterious master? It didn't matter to put more responsibility onto her master. She believed that those people who secretly investigated her would definitely attribute her possession of the flame unicorn beast to that master. Speaking of master, Ming Xiu's figure suddenly flashed through Lu Mu Yan's mind. Her lips raised in a merry arc. Who knew what that devilish man's reaction would be if he knew that she traded the flame unicorn beast so casually? She reached out her hand and rubbed the ice bangle on her wrist. This bangle truly gave her a weird feeling. There seemed to be a sliver of connection between her and it, yet it also seemed that there was none, drawing them together yet not quite. This ice bangle was definitely extraordinary, but she hadn't found the trick to unseal it, or maybe she couldn't establish a deeper connection because she was still too weak. If she could meet Ming Xiu again, she could definitely ask him. She always had a feeling of spiritual harmony with this ice bangle, so she really wanted to know its secret. One often said in verbal fights my female who would refer to themselves as grandaunt to show dominance. Just like how in Chinese, some men would say "I'm your old man/father" or "I'm your grandfather" to show dominance in a verbal fight. Likewise, females might also say "I'm your mother." "You're my grandson/you're a grandson" is also an insult, because it calls them weak. Chapter 70. The Yi Qin Han that Yunlan spoke of. Once one saw a row of shops side by side after passing through the other path of the markets, one would see that there were still people coming and going, but there were less hawking and trading. Lu Mu Yen and the rest walked slowly along from the first shop. When she saw things that she wanted, even if the price wasn't considered low, she would still buy them without hesitation, which made others inwardly scream that she was too prodigal. However, remembering that she not only had the huge sum of money she obtained from auctioning off the marrow cleansing pill last time, but she also currently had a flame unicorn beast's corpse with value not lower than the marrow cleansing pill. They began to feel more at ease. She indeed had the capital to be prodigal. Xiao Xiang and Yunjin exchanged looks and couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Comparing oneself to another could definitely infuriate oneself to death. Does Mu Yan know who the girl who fought with you for the stone is? Yunlan walked beside Lu Mu Yan and asked with worry in his voice. The moment Lu Mu Yan heard his tone, she guessed that he definitely knew, so she smiled indicatively and asked, I don't really know, but it seems that cousin knows. She's from one of the 10 distinguished clans of the eastern region, the Axian clan's third young miss and the daughter of the main wife, Enchanting Xian. Because her talents were exceptional, so she's highly valued by the Axian clan. Yunlan paused, then added, she's arrogant and ostentatious, and easily holds grudges. After you snatched what she wanted just now, I'm afraid she already ordered people to investigate your background. Arrogant and ostentatious. Lu Mu Yan's star-like black eyes revealed some nostalgia. Her back when she was in the spiritual world was what was considered true arrogance and ostentatious behavior. How could Enchanting Xian's restricted arrogance compare? However, that woman definitely wasn't an idiot, so it was best to guard against her in the future. Enchanting clan. Is it one of the 10 distinguished clans like maternal grandpa's Ling clan? Speaking of the Axian clan, Lu Mu Yan remembered what her mother said that day. Wasn't Axian clan one of the main clans that dropped stones on the Ling clan who had fallen into a well one and suppressed them on purpose? Yunlan nodded, that's right. But now, because Enchanting Xian's father had advanced to a sword sovereign expert, plus the plundering of the Ling clan's resources over the recent years, the Axian clan's ranking already leapt to number 5 among the 10 distinguished clans. The Ling clan was Lu Mu Yan's maternal grandfather's family, so he didn't want to conceal anything from her. The main reason that he didn't stop Lu Mu Yan, even though he clearly knew that Enchanting Xian wasn't someone they should offend, was because the two were bound to become enemies due to their clans. Stepping on the Ling clan to climb to the top, it must taste great. Let's just let them enjoy the satisfaction of standing on high grounds a little longer. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were full of coldness. Wasn't falling from a high place even worse? No wonder when she first met Enchanting Xian earlier, she had a premonition that she would forge a great feud with her. So it was because their identities already determined that they would become enemies. How's the relationship between Enchanting Xian and Xueling? Lu Mu Yan asked, raising her eyes to look at Yunlan. The situations concerning the 10 distinguished clans couldn't be obtained through investigations, and the general's mansion didn't know much either, so only someone like Yunlan, a child who was highly valued by the Imperial family, could possibly know something. The Axian clan and the Xue clan have secretly cooperated for many years and their relationship's very good, but despite both being the daughter of the main wife, with excelling talents in their respective families, their relationship isn't compatible, to the point it was as if they were like fire and water, and they even clashed a few times. Yunlan naturally knew about how Xueling had annulled the engagement with Ling Fei Yang and considered Xueling to be very lowly in his eyes. They're both women favored by the heavens, so they'll definitely always compare themselves to the other, so it's natural they didn't like each other. Lu Mu Yan shrugged her shoulders with a smile. She only came into contact with Enchanting Xian for a short moment just now, but it wasn't hard to see that within the woman's arrogance, there carried a sense of viciousness. With such a temperament, it was natural that she didn't get along with a person she compared herself to, like Xuelin, who was also a woman favored by the heavens. Not only did they clash because of this, but I've heard that they even secretly fought for the sake of a man. Yunlan revealed a rare look of interest in gossip. Lu Mu Yan didn't think that the two had such a grudge against each other and was slightly curious about what sort of man was able to make the two of them scramble for him, completely disregarding their own face, fought for a man. Who? Number 2 of the 10 distinguished clans, the Yi clan's young lord, Yi Qinghan. When Yunlan mentioned the name Yi Qinghan, a slight smile flashed through his eyes. Pu. Yi Qing Han. Lu Mu Yen couldn't help but laugh aloud. She really couldn't imagine Ying Han being fought over by two women. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, she believed that such an image was just too beautiful that she simply couldn't bear to look directly at it too. What's wrong? Yun Lan was a little surprised and confused by Lu Mu Yan's reaction. Lu Mu Yan held back her gloating smile and shook her head. Nothing. Then did Yi Qing Han choose one of the two? Of course he didn't. Yi Qing Han's eyes aren't that bad. Yun Lan's tone was definitive. Lu Mu Yan discovered that when Yun Lan mentioned Yi Qing Han, there was an indescribable emotion in his words. It wasn't like speaking of an enemy, but it wasn't like a friend either. Do you know Yi Qing Han? You believe his eyesight this much? I've met him a few times before. He's always been a person I wanted to surpass. Yun Lan smiled softly. He was defeated by Yi Qing Han twice, and was unhappy within, but he had the determination to surpass that person. Person you want to surpass? You sure think highly of him. Speaking of Yi Qing Han, Lu Mu Yan also unconsciously revealed slight warmth in her eyes. It could be considered that he was the first friend she made after coming to this world. Yun Lan nodded with a smile. That's right. He's a very good virtual opponent 3. His talent is definitely stronger than your elder brother and not weaker. Hearing Yun Lan think so highly of Yi Qing Yan, Lu Mu Yan nodded. Last time at the Blazing Mountain Range, she was certain Yi Qing Han still concealed quite a bit of his strength. Yi Qing Han definitely would participate in the competition to vie for one of the quotas between the 10 distinguished clans, so they would most likely meet in the Glacial Mountain Range. She guessed that the Yi Qing Yan, after taking the marrow cleansing pill, should have already broken through to the strength of a Sword King. What are you two muttering there about? Xiao Xiang walked over beside the two and said as he looked at Lu Mu Yan, "Come and see what you think about this spiritual herb." Ever since Xiao Xiang knew that Lu Mu Yan was a grade 1 alchemist and had a powerful alchemist master, his attitude towards her had improved. It wasn't because of the master behind her, but it was simply because it felt as if they were like-minded people. Lu Mu Yan didn't dislike people like Xiao Xiang, who was straightforward and crude as she followed him to the counter to choose a few spiritual herbs. Then they wandered around all the shops, but they didn't gain as much as they did in the free trade zone. Although Lu Mu Yan did manage to buy a few spiritual herbs required for some pills, but she didn't meet any previous, high-level spiritual herbs. After exiting the markets, and after Lu Mu Yan and Yun Lan discussed the promised alliance with each other in the Glacial Mountain Range, Lu Mu Yan took Hu Xiao and left with Lu Mu Bai. Qi Yi Xian didn't thicken his face and follow. He also knew that Lu Mu Yan had things to discuss with Hu Xiao and it was inconvenient for him to interfere. Qi Yi Xian had a fairly good relationship with Yun Lan and the others, so he was also invited to be a part of the alliance. After parting ways with Lu Mu Yan, he went to the inn where Yun Jin and the others stayed to discuss the matter of the alliance. Except the bitterness in his heart only grew stronger. He clenched his fists tightly. When facing Lu Mu Yan, who was becoming more and more outstanding, he began to feel pressured. Regardless, the most important thing right now was to improve his strength and take a trial place for himself. He was only qualified to have Lu Mu Yan if he was stronger than her. 1 idiom meaning to hit a person when they're down. 2 it's sarcastic, just in case people didn't catch up on that, but I think I made it clear XD. Yes, indeed, it will simply be too beautiful to look at. 3 he means that when he cultivates and trains, he can imagine Yi Qing Han as an opponent and imagine battling him to improve himself. So kind of virtual. Random note, somewhat questionable thought at the end there, Qi Yi Xian, but typical you. Good luck with that XD. Hey, race the chapter, better late than never. Enjoy. Chapter 71, Lead Hu Xiao by the nose. Lu Mu Yan took Hu Xiao to the inn where the academy's students stayed, found a vacant room, and set up a soundproof array. Then she took out a pot of spiritual tea and poured a cup for Lu Mu Bai and Huashao each. After passing the teacup to Huashao, she asked him, "What's your name?" Huashao. Huashao stared at the golden, rich, and fragrant spiritual tea, held it to the tip of his nose and sniffed with an intoxicated expression, taking a sip as if it simply wasn't enough. Great tea. The corner of Lu Mu Yan's mouth couldn't help but twitch upon seeing Huashao look as if he had never seen anything good in his entire life. Didn't they say smithing and alchemy were extremely wealthy professions? How could this person look as if he had never seen this world before? How old are you? 36. Huashao sipped the spiritual tea in small mouthfuls while answering the boring questions posed by the woman opposite. Lu Mu Yan looked at him from head to toe. His hair was loose and untamed, covering most of his face, was dressed in sloppy clothes, and there was even some dirt on this man's body. With such a rough appearance, he didn't look like he had the vitality a 30-something-year-old man should have. Huashao also noticed the woman's look of disapproval, looked down at his clothes, then laughed dryly. "I was refining a spirit treasure, and when I came out of my workshop, I ran straight to the market to set up a stall, so I didn't fix myself." Lu Mu Yan nodded and continued to ask, "You're a grade 3 smith, right?" "How do you know?" Huashao, who was drinking tea, raised his head suddenly and looked at Lu Mu Yan in surprise and confusion. He only broke through to a grade 3 smith last month. No one else knew about this, so how did this woman discover it? "Of course it's because I could see it." Lu Mu Yan smiled beautifully, and inadvertently revealed a confident look. Huashao looked at the confident and lively woman opposite and furrowed his brows. Impossible. The level of a smith couldn't be seen like someone's cultivation base. "I don't believe it. Is there a very faint black line on your left middle finger?" Lu Mu Yan asked instead of answering. Huashao immediately stretched out his left hand. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that there was indeed a black line connecting his palm to the middle finger of his hand, extending towards the first joint line. Shocked, he looked up at Lu Mu Yan and asked, "I'm poisoned?" Lu Mu Yan rolled her eyes at him and said with disapproval, "It's truly terrifying to be uncultured. As a smith, don't you know what fire poison is?" Although smiths and alchemists both often come into contact with fire, but because the spiritual herbs that alchemists refine naturally offset the toxins in the fire, so one wouldn't easily become poisoned by fire poison. Even if there was fire poison left in the body, it could be cured by a pill. Meanwhile, smiths were frequently required to refine some spars one or demonic beast skins, and fire is often used during the refining process. So the elemental energy flame would absorb the residual poison of those materials, which will eventually become fire poison deposited in the body. If one left it for a long time, it would bring hidden dangers to the body, and even cause death by poisoning. Huashao wasn't a stupid person either. After hearing Lu Mu Yan's words, he asked, "You're saying that this black line is produced by the fire poison that's deposited in my body from refining magic tools? You judged that I'm a grade 3 smith based on this?" "Yep, it seems you aren't that stupid." Lu Mu Yan chuckled. "If the fire poison accumulated in a grade 2 alchemist isn't removed, then a faint black line would slowly appear on the left middle finger. After advancing to a grade 3 smith, if the fire poison isn't removed, then the black line would extend to the first joint line of the middle finger." "What about those above grade 3? Huashao asked hurriedly. "The faint black line would darken in color for those above grade 3 and slowly extend upward. After reaching a grade 4 smith, if the fire poison still hasn't been removed, then the black line will extend directly to the nail. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Lu Mu Yan picked up the teacup and sipped it softly. Then she raised her eyes and smiled indicatively, saying, "If the black line extends to the position of the nail, it also means that the person's life is coming to an end." Huashao's face stiffened. He had heard about fire poison being harmful, but he didn't expect that it was this dangerous. He could judge that the woman sitting opposite wasn't exaggerating to scare him, but how did she know? He leaned forward a little and the faint fragrance of medicine on the opposite person's body penetrated his nose. He looked at Lu Mu Yen with a smile in his eyes and asked, "You're a physician or alchemist? Does it have anything to do with you whether I am or not?" Lu Mu Yen covered her nose and backed into her chair, then said with furrowed brows, "Stay away from me, the sour smell on your body is really too much." Hu Xiao stretched his sleeves to his nose, smelled it, and there was indeed an unpleasant sour smell. He smiled awkwardly. "I was leaving in a hurry and didn't get time to wash up." "I'll go wash up tonight." "You really should wash yourself well." Lu Mu Yen displayed some approval in her eyes. Lu Mu Yen didn't want to talk about being an alchemist, so Hu Xiao didn't ask anymore. He sat upright, took a few more sips of tea and continued speaking after falling silent for a while. "Let's talk about the corpse of the flame unicorn beast." "Sure. Do you want a whole flame unicorn beast?" Lu Mu Yen asked, raising the corner of her lips. "Of course I do." Hu Xiao nodded. The flame unicorn beast was the best refining material he had ever seen in his life, and it perfectly fitted the main material he had desperately imagined, for a long time, to use to refine a spirit treasure with. "Then show some sincerity. What would you give in exchange?" Lu Mu Yen stroked the rim of the cup, her voice a little sharp. Hu Xiao gritted his teeth and moved all the valuables he had from his interspatial ring to the tabletop, then said, "These are all the good things I have with me. You can pick whatever you want yourself." Lu Mu Yen glanced at the things on the table, most of which were spar materials for smithing, and spirit tools, spirit treasures. "I've got no interest in these things on the table." A look of disappointment flashed across Hu Xiao's eyes. Although smithing was a very profitable profession, but it also consumed a vast amount of money. In order to advance to a grade 3 smith, most of his savings were spent on buying materials for refining to break through, so he really couldn't take out anything good to trade. But he eagerly wanted the corpse of the flame unicorn beast, so he said, "Tell me, what should I do so that you'd give me the entire flame unicorn beast corpse?" "Oh yeah, how about I'll provide all the spirit treasures you want in the future, but the rare and hard-to-find materials need to be provided by you," Hu Xiao added. He believed that no one could reject such a promise from a grade 3 smith. Lu Mu Yen raised her eyebrow and sneered, "The spirit treasures you refine for me aren't even worthy to enter my eyes." When she was in the spirit world, she knew how to refine tools herself, and her level was far higher than that of Hu Xiao's, so how could she think highly of the things Hu Xiao refined? It just wasn't on the same level. Of course, a grade 3 smith like Hu Xiao was of little use to her, but was extremely useful to the Lu clan, otherwise she wouldn't set up this trap for Hu Xiao to jump in willingly. Hu Xiao's confident smile immediately cracked and slight anger rose in his eyes. He slammed the table and shouted, "What? You look down on the spirit treasures I refine? Do you know what kind of existence a grade 3 smith is?" "What kind of existence?" Lu Mu Yen asked with folded arms and a smile of interest. "In the entire eastern region, the highest level of smithing is only grade 4, and there'll be no more than 4 people. Although there are a little more grade 3 smiths, but there won't be more than 20. Hu Xiao snorted coldly, "If I go out now and join a random kingdom, force, or clan at will, they'd all worship me as a super guest. The magic tools I refine would be even more desirable than that by numerous people. You tell me what kind of existence a grade 3 smith is." Lu Mu Yen lowered her head and chuckled, then picked up a shield made by Hu Xiao on the table, and said nonchalantly, "So what about a grade 3 smith? There are still very big flaws in the spirit treasures you've refined." One changed crystals to spar. Chapter 72, Take as a Master. Hearing the word flaw, Hu Xiao's body froze, and he looked at Lu Mu Yen with a complicated look. Smiths cherished every single magic tool they refined themselves. He was obsessed with smithing, and although he had an arrogant side, he could also receive teachings with humbleness. Can you tell what sort of flaws there are on this spirit treasure? I'll be convinced if you can tell me. Lu Muyen put away her smiles and her expression grew more serious. You lacked a material when you were refining this shield, and the heat in several places weren't controlled that well, so this can only count as a low-level spirit treasure. You can see what materials I lacked when refining just like that. Hua Xiao looked at her incredulously. He discovered that he had belittled this woman too much before. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow. How difficult is that? What's missing is the profound ice jade. The biggest flaw of your shield is that it can't withstand ice attacks. If it met a high-level sword master who uses ice attributes very skillfully, then your shield would become a useless burden. Then the heat in several places that weren't controlled well could also be told by looking at it. Hua Xiao asked eagerly. Since he first came into contact with smithing, he mostly taught and explored this area by himself based on his excellent smithing talent, so he did indeed lack some skill in controlling the heat. While refining this spirit treasure shield, he made 3 mistakes when controlling the heat, so he really wanted to hear Lu Muyen's opinion. Lu Muyen picked up the shield and turned it to the innermost side. She pointed to a dark cyan line and said, "The overall shield body is cyan in color, but the cyan here is much darker, indicating that the firepower used during the second solidification of the shield was too strong." Then she pointed to an inconspicuous faint red light on the shield and said, "When you added the fire attribute spar and other materials to dissolve together, the firepower was slightly weaker, so the fusion here wasn't the best. Then look at this. The edges of the shield aren't smooth, indicating that your mentality wasn't relaxed enough when the shield was being formed. Because of your eagerness, the firepower was a bit high, which caused slight jaggedness on the side. That's roughly about it for the problems with the heat for this shield." Lu Muyen took this seriously and said with a tone of disapproval, "If I were you, I wouldn't refine this shield's spirit treasure without the profound ice jade. Not only did you waste a lot of materials, but the quality of the shield was also lowered by 2 levels. When Lu Muyen said it so seriously, Hua Xiao's previous anger dissipated, and his eyes were full of shock. He was completely stunned by her. Her tone when speaking about smithing were as if she were familiar with it. She must be a mid-high level expert. So his old face blushed. "My shield was made at the time to advance to a grade 3 smith, and at the time I just couldn't find the profound ice jade, so I made do. What's the purpose of advancing? Naturally it's to improve your smithing ability." When Lu Muyen spoke about professional matters, she unconsciously displayed a natural seriousness and self-confidence. The fundamental thing for smiths is to refine every magic tool to as close to perfection as possible with their heart. You definitely can't make do. If you do that often, then how would you be able to find the perfect opportunity to break through to an even higher level? You're not in the right mentality to begin with. With this, you can't go far. Hua Xiao listened carefully and discovered that Lu Muyen wasn't like a 16 or 17-year-old girl at all right now. Instead, she felt like a veteran smith, calm and leisurely. He couldn't help but be convinced by the words she said as well. "Yes, that's right. I used to be too smug." Hua Xiao nodded with enlightenment. Lu Muyen was right. He became a little proud and complacent ever since he broke through to a grade 2 smith. In order to advance to a grade 3 smith faster, he did give up some of the principles he used to adhere to. After being analyzed so frankly by her, he felt as if he had been struck and enlightened, but at the same time, he felt fear in hindsight. If he really continued to walk on the current path, his future achievements would peak at a grade 4 smith, which was far from his goal. "Thank you, young Miss Lu, for your advice. I've noted this favor." If Hua Xiao thought that Lu Muyen was young and frivolous before and belittled her, then he was sincerely grateful now. Lu Muyen was very satisfied with Hua Xiao's change. This person could still be taught, no need. Let's continue to talk about the trade now. Wait. Can I ask young Miss Lu a question first? Hua Xiao's expression displayed a somewhat indescribable and complicated look. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yen smiled, yet not quite smiled at him, and said, ask. Is young Miss Lu a smith? I'm not quite a smith right now. She had never refined any magic tools ever since coming here, so technically she still wasn't considered a smith. Hua Xiao looked at Lu Mu Yen, dumbfounded. Not a smith. As if that could be true. Then you understand smithing. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. Nonsense, if I don't understand smithing, then how could I point out the flaws in your shield? Can you ask some deeper questions? Hua Xiao pursed his lips inwardly. The questions you asked me before didn't have much depth. Hua Xiao suddenly stood up and bowed to Lu Mu Yen, with a serious expression on his face and firmness in his eyes. Young Miss Lu, I want you to be my master, please accept me. Hua Xiao's attitude suddenly reversed, looking at Lu Mu Yen sincerely as if saying, if you don't accept me, I'll let you see how I die. Lu Mu Yen held her forehead. She truly didn't know what sort of brain circuit Hua Xiao had. She just casually said some simple things and suddenly he wanted to take her as his master. Maybe I don't know as much as you, so wouldn't it be a disadvantage for you to take me as your master? Lu Mu Yen said, teasing. Hua Xiao shook his head. From the moment you looked at the shield I refined, I found that your proficiency in smithing is better than me. Even if you aren't a smith now, but I believe that you understand more things than I do. He was obsessed with the art of smithing, even if he had almost lost his way on the path of a smith because of his arrogance and complacency. But he was a modest and studious person. This young woman completely convinced him, so he was willing to sincerely ask Lu Mu Yen to become his master. He could tell that she understood far more than him. Lu Mu Yen stroked her chin to look like she was contemplating, and then exchanged a look with Lu Mu Bai. Seeing the approval in the other's eyes, a smile of success rose on her lips. Originally, according to her plan, she only wanted to take Hua Xiao under her wing and let him refine magic tools for the Lu clan. But she didn't expect Hua Xiao to want to take her as his master after being taught a lesson by her. After analyzing the advantages and disadvantages, she felt that it was a waste not to accept a grade 3 smith as a disciple. In this world where teachers were highly respected, a relationship with a disciple was much more solid and reliable than a relationship with collaborators. Have you taken other people as masters? Never. Since I became a smith, I've been studying it myself. A touch of amazement flashed by Lu Mu Yan's eyes. It seemed that Hua Xiao's talent for refining wasn't just strong. He could have such an achievement without a master, and having been self-taught, she really picked up a huge bargain. Although I know a lot of smithing methods, but I don't know how to teach you. Maybe you should change a teacher. Lu Mu Yen pretended to shirk. Hua Xiao's eyes lit up when he heard the phrase I know a lot of smithing methods, and directly knelt down in front of Lu Mu Yen, saying respectfully, Master, please accept this disciple. If he could take a great person as a master, kneeling was only a small matter. Lu Mu Yen was taken aback by his actions and immediately dragged him up. She really didn't like others kneeling down to her. All right, I'll accept you as my disciple for the time being. Well, make it 3 years. If you want to back out afterwards, I'll allow it. Although she set a trap for Hua Xiao to crawl into, but she didn't like to force others. However, she believed that after 3 years, Hua Xiao would definitely be a proper, obedient disciple. All right. Hua Xiao didn't expect this cunning woman to have such a considerate side, and his heart grew more sincere. He just felt that today's choice would be the wisest decision made in his entire life. The two high-fived in representation of their alliance. Hua Xiao formally became Lu Mu Yan's disciple, and since then, embarked on a path of smithing full of oppression and exploitation, yet he felt both pain and joy in it. The glacial mountain range was located in the southeast of Glacial City. The entire mountain range undulated continuously, and no matter from which angle, there was no end to it, only a piece of white. After reaching the entrance of the glacial mountain range, everyone walked into the mountain range. Lu Mu Yen, why did you wear white clothes today? Lan Si knew that Lu Mu Yen usually wore all styles of light purple, so when she suddenly changed into white clothes today, it made her even more beautiful, with an elegant and refined temperament. He was secretly amazed. Lu Mu Yen shrugged and said, I don't want to be a living target. Didn't teacher also change your clothes to light blue? I also don't want to be a living target. Lan Si wasn't fazed by her questioning him, and an elegant smile rose on his handsome face. Exactly. Lu Mu Yen discovered that Lan Si was a fox that wore an elegant skin, and was also extremely bored. Along the way, from time to time, they encountered groups of mercenaries or individual adventurers in the glacial mountain range. They just looked at each other and left separately. In such a dangerous place, everyone rarely spoke with unfamiliar people. After walking for around more than 2 hours, they completely entered the periphery of the glacial mountain range. The glacial mountain range was the same as the other treacherous zones. They're divided into the periphery, outer ring, the border between the outer ring and the inner ring and the center ring. With your cultivation base, you can only move in the border between the outer ring and inner ring. You must not go deep into the inner ring and the center ring, otherwise you'll most likely not return, and be left with no corpse. Lan Si introduced the situation of the glacial mountain range to everyone as they walked. The border between the outer ring and the inner ring mostly has tier 5 demonic beasts, but from time to time, there'll be higher-level demonic beasts appearing. When you encounter them, the first thing to do is run. Don't feel embarrassed by it, the most important thing is to save your life. And the inner ring of the glacial mountain range is where even I don't dare go deep. That's tier 6 demonic beasts territory. The kings of the demonic beasts occupy their own areas, and if someone accidentally breaks into their territory, then their end will definitely be miserable. Lan Si wore a joking smile on his lips. Of course, if you don't believe me, you can go try it. Take responsibility for the outcome yourself though. Teacher, then which ring are we training in? The outer ring. A student couldn't help but ask. Lan Si glanced at him and smiled, saying, do you think that's possible? The trial isn't as simple as you think, so the place where you'll participate in the trial is the border between the outer ring and the inner ring. But except for upperclassman Lu, the strongest amongst is us only at peak phase sword spirit. The border between the outer ring and the inner ring is where tier 5 demonic beasts roam. If we encounter them, it'll be difficult to run. Another student said, concerned. Are you afraid of death? Lan Si suddenly asked the people present before answering. Not afraid. The 11 people said in unison, but their voices weren't the same in firmness and magnitude. Lan Si smiled meaningfully, but what he said was like a knife, exactly. The trial isn't an ordinary experience organized by the Academy. You could lose your little life at any time, so you really must be careful. You need to make keeping yourselves alive the main thing at any moment. If you emerge above the rest this time, you'll still face danger or death at any time when you participate in the tournament for hegemony. This was the path of the strong. Then Lan Si's tone switched and he put away his smile, replacing it with an unprecedented seriousness. Of course, if some of you are afraid of encountering danger, the fact that you die anywhere, without even a burial, then you can still withdraw now. Hearing this, a few people turned pale and showed some expressions of struggles. In the end, the huge benefits behind the trial lead them to decide not to withdraw. Very well. Since you've chosen to take the risks, then show me what the Academy students should look like. Don't discredit the Academy. Lan Si changed from his usual gentleness to a very serious expression. Yes. Everyone promised. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. After that, Lan Si cautioned the students about what things to pay attention to in the glacial mountain range, then led them quickly in their journey. After around half a day, according to the time, it should be nighttime, but the glacial mountain range was still as bright as daylight. There wasn't any difference between day or night in the glacial mountain range, only endless days, and one had to judge the time by themselves. When everyone arrived at the foot of a low-lying snow-capped mountain, Lan Si took out a bamboo piece, placed it in his mouth and blew it. Several sweet but not too loud sounds echoed in the open mountain. Not long after, the same sound rang from halfway up the mountain. Lan Si waved his hand and led everyone up the mountain. When they reached the middle of the mountain, they found that there was a huge hidden cave here. After entering the cave, they found that there was a place of uniqueness. There was a stone door deep in the cave, and after entering the stone door, one could see that there was a nicely arranged hall. In the innermost side of the hall, there was another closed wooden door. There were a dozen people sitting in the hall at this time, including an elderly man with white hair and plain clothes that sat in the main seat. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed a touch of understanding. This white-haired old man was Imperial teacher Yunsong of Yanzhou Kingdom. To get him to lead the trial, it could be seen that the trial in the glacial mountain range was highly valued by the superiors of Yanzhou Kingdom. Greetings to Imperial teacher. Lan Si and the other three instructors walked in front of Yunsong and greeted respectfully. Upon seeing this, Lu Muyan and the others also stepped forward to bow to Yunsong. Sit down. Yunkan pointed to more than a dozen vacant seats that had been prepared on the other side. Yes. After Lu Muyan sat down, she observed the trial team of the Imperial family and discovered that there were 12 of them. Among them were many faces she had never seen before, and their strength was far higher than the students of the Imperial Academy. Among all the people present here, her strength was the lowest, at peak phase Great Sword Master Cultivation base. It was definitely the weakest. Of course, in terms of combat power, she believed she wouldn't lose to all those who participated in the trial. While they were observing the Imperial trial team, they were also observing them. When they saw Lu Muyan, several people hadn't seen her before, not to mention seen her battle at the Imperial Academy, all revealed some contempt and incomprehension. Imperial teacher, I never knew that in such a dangerous trial held in the glacial mountain range allowed a great sword master cultivation base person to participate. A handsome man in a white brocade robe said coldly in the Imperial Academy trial team. Lu Muyan furrowed her brows lightly. As soon as she raised her head, she met the opponent's ice-cold eyes. In that person's eyes, there wasn't any contempt, not hostility, not disgust towards her, only a calmness as if he were stating facts. Yun Mo, this name immediately popped up in Lu Muyan's mind. He was the younger brother of the same mother as Emperor Yun Tianqin, but he was only 3 years older than Yun Lan. He and Lu Mubai were once considered the double pride of Yanzhou Kingdom. They were both peerless geniuses of the empire, and was the most outstanding amongst the younger generation of the empire. Yun Mo went out for training 5 years ago, and has never returned to the imperial capital. Presumably, he came back this time for the trial quota. This man had a cold temperament and was dedicated to pursuing the pinnacle of the path of the sword. When he was 10 years old, he became famous in the eastern region, and was even comparable to the outstanding pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. Although she hadn't seen Yun Mo himself, but Lu Muyan concluded at a glance that this man was the one that was the person in the legends. The glacial mountain range was located in the southeast of Glacial City. The entire mountain range undulated continuously, and no matter from which angle, there was no end to it, only a piece of white. After reaching the entrance of the glacial mountain range, everyone walked into the mountain range. Lu Muyan, why did you wear white clothes today? Lan Si knew that Lu Muyan usually wore all styles of light purple, so when she suddenly changed into white clothes today, it made her even more beautiful, with an elegant and refined temperament. He was secretly amazed. Lu Mu Yen shrugged and said, I don't want to be a living target. Didn't teacher also change your clothes to light blue? I also don't want to be a living target. Lan Si wasn't fazed by her questioning him, and an elegant smile rose on his handsome face. Exactly. Lu Mu Yen discovered that Lan Si was a fox that wore an elegant skin, and was also extremely bored. Along the way, from time to time, they encountered groups of mercenaries or individual adventurers in the glacial mountain range. They just looked at each other and left separately. In such a dangerous place, everyone rarely spoke with unfamiliar people. After walking for around more than 2 hours, they completely entered the periphery of the glacial mountain range. The glacial mountain range was the same as the other treacherous zones. They're divided into the periphery, outer ring, the border between the outer ring and the inner ring and the center ring. With your cultivation base, you can only move in the border between the outer ring and inner ring. You must not go deep into the inner ring and the center ring, otherwise you'll most likely not return, and be left with no corpse. Lan Si introduced the situation of the glacial mountain range to everyone as they walked. The border between the outer ring and the inner ring mostly has tier 5 demonic beasts, but from time to time, there'll be higher level demonic beasts appearing. When you encounter them, the first thing to do is run. Don't feel embarrassed by it, the most important thing is to save your life. And the inner ring of the glacial mountain range is where even I don't dare go deep. That's tier 6 demonic beasts territory. The kings of the demonic beasts occupy their own areas, and if someone accidentally breaks into their territory, then their end will definitely be miserable. Lan Si wore a joking smile on his lips. Of course, if you don't believe me, you can go try it. Take responsibility for the outcome yourself though. Teacher, then which ring are we training in? The outer ring. A student couldn't help but ask. Lan Si glanced at him and smiled, saying, do you think that's possible? The trial isn't as simple as you think, so the place where you'll participate in the trial is the border between the outer ring and the inner ring. But except for upperclassman Lu, the strongest amongst us only at peak phase sword spirit. The border between the outer ring and the inner ring is where tier 5 demonic beasts roam. If we encounter them, it'll be difficult to run. Another student said, concerned. Are you afraid of death? Lan Si suddenly asked the people present before answering. Not afraid. The 11 people said in unison, but their voices weren't the same in firmness and magnitude. Lan Si smiled meaningfully, but what he said was like a knife, exactly. The trial isn't an ordinary experience organized by the academy. You could lose your little life at any time, so you really must be careful. You need to make keeping yourselves alive the main thing at any moment. If you emerge above the rest this time, you'll still face danger or death at any time when you participate in the tournament for hegemony. This was the path of the strong. Then Lan Si's tone switched and he put away his smile, replacing it with an unprecedented seriousness. Of course, if some of you are afraid of encountering danger, the fact that you die anywhere, without even a burial, then you can still withdraw now. Hearing this, a few people turned pale and showed some expressions of struggles. In the end, the huge benefits behind the trial lead them to decide not to withdraw. Very well. Since you've chosen to take the risks, then show me what the academy students should look like. Don't discredit the academy. Lan Si changed from his usual gentleness to a very serious expression. Yes. Everyone promised. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. After that, Lan Si cautioned the students about what things to pay attention to in the glacial mountain range, then led them quickly in their journey. After around half a day, according to the time, it should be night time, but the glacial mountain range was still as bright as daylight. There wasn't any difference between day or night in the glacial mountain range, only endless days, and one had to judge the time by themselves. When everyone arrived at the foot of a low-lying snow-capped mountain, Lan Si took out a bamboo piece, placed it in his mouth and blew it. Several sweet but not too loud sounds echoed in the open mountain. Not long after, the same sound rang from halfway up the mountain. Lan Si waved his hand and led everyone up the mountain. When they reached the middle of the mountain, they found that there was a huge hidden cave here. After entering the cave, they found that there was a place of uniqueness. There was a stone door deep in the cave, and after entering the stone door, one could see that there was a nicely arranged hall. In the innermost side of the hall, there was another closed wooden door. There were a dozen people sitting in the hall at this time, including an elderly man with white hair and plain clothes that sat in the main seat. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed a touch of understanding. This white-haired old man was Imperial teacher Yunsong of Yanzhou Kingdom. To get him to lead the trial, it could be seen that the trial in the glacial mountain range was highly valued by the superiors of Yanzhou Kingdom. Greetings to Imperial teacher. Lan Si and the other 3 instructors walked in front of Yunsong and greeted respectfully. Upon seeing this, Lu Muyan and the others also stepped forward to bow to Yunsong. Sit down. Yunkan pointed to more than a dozen vacant seats that had been prepared on the other side. Yes. After Lu Muyan sat down, she observed the trial team of the Imperial family and discovered that there were 12 of them. Among them were many faces she had never seen before, and their strength was far higher than the students of the Imperial Academy. Among all the people present here, her strength was the lowest, at peak phase Great Sword Master Cultivation base. It was definitely the weakest. Of course, in terms of combat power, she believed she wouldn't lose to all those who participated in the trial. While they were observing the Imperial trial team, they were also observing them. When they saw Lu Muyan, several people hadn't seen her before, not to mention seen her battle at the Imperial Academy, all revealed some contempt and incomprehension. Imperial teacher, I never knew that in such a dangerous trial held in the glacial mountain range allowed a great sword master cultivation base person to participate. A handsome man in a white brocade robe said coldly in the Imperial Academy trial team. Lu Muyan furrowed her brows lightly. As soon as she raised her head, she met the opponent's ice-cold eyes. In that person's eyes, there wasn't any contempt, not hostility, not disgust towards her, only a calmness as if he were stating facts. Yunzi Mo, this name immediately popped up in Lu Muyan's mind. He was the younger brother of the same mother as Emperor Yun Tianqin, but he was only 3 years older than Yunlan. He and Lu Mubai were once considered the double pride of Yanzhou Kingdom. They were both peerless geniuses of the empire, and was the most outstanding amongst the younger generation of the empire. Yunzi Mo went out for training 5 years ago, and has never returned to the imperial capital. Presumably, he came back this time for the trial quota. This man had a cold temperament and was dedicated to pursuing the pinnacle of the path of the sword. When he was 10 years old, he became famous in the eastern region, and was even comparable to the outstanding pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. Although she hadn't seen Yunzi Mo himself, but Lu Muyan concluded at a glance that this man was the one that was the person in the legends. The moment Yunzi Mo's voice fell, everyone in the room cast their gazes to Lu Muyan. Lu Mubei's expression darkened slightly and his brows furrowed together unhappily. Just when he wanted to speak, Lu Muyan tugged his sleeve to stop him. Do you mean Lu Muyan? She won the first place in the freshman's earth class, and she obtained the place with her own abilities. Among the people sitting here, only Lu Muyan was at the Great Sword Master cultivation stage. Who Yunzi Mo was referring to was evident, so Yunsung explained with an amicable expression. After thinking a little, he added, she defeated a middle-phase sword spirit strength student. Yunzi Mo raised his eyes and glanced at Lu Muyan coldly, nodded to Yunsung and stopped talking. Yunsung knew what sort of temperament Yunzi Mo had, but he also didn't want Lu Muyan to misunderstand him. The Imperial family still wanted to exchange the marrow cleansing pill from Lu Muyan for Yunzi Mo to use in preparation for the continental tournament for hegemony. He couldn't let any misunderstandings form between the two. Lu girl, ZMO is your captain for the selection trial this time, so he also asked this out of consideration for safety reasons. Don't think too much into it. Yun Zhang looked at Lu Mu Yen with an amicable smile. Lu Mu Yen sneered, just say that you're afraid you'll be holding everyone back, why make it sound so pompous? There was a smile yet not quite a smile on her lips. Although she knew Yun Zmo didn't deliberately target herself, but this sort of roundabout way of saying she would hold everyone back still made her unhappy. Who knew who's be the one to hold others back? Her words that left no face made the expressions of many people change. Yun Zmo was the #1 cultivator among the younger generation in the empire, and he had an extremely cold temperament. Almost no one dared to provoke him, not to mention choke him like this. They didn't know whether it was because Lu Mu Yen had nothing to fear, she had a strong backing, or because she didn't know any better. Being young sure made one courageous. I sure do not like to hear such words you've said, young Miss Lu. My young royal uncle is also thinking for everyone's safety. He only spoke the truth. Why are you this angry? A yellow-clothed woman who sat beside Yun Xayan revealed a look of displeasure when looking at Lu Mu Yen. Her meaning was very clear, you were one to hold us back. What my royal uncle said was right, so now you're only angry because you feel guilty. They were all elites amongst the younger generation. In order to participate in the trial competition, they had all been in closed-door cultivation until now, so they didn't watch the grand competition. In her eyes, Lu Mu Yen was still the well-known trash of the empire. It must have been mostly luck to be able to defeat a sword spirit student. Spoke the truth. With which eye of yours did you see that it'll be dragging you guys down? Or maybe your younger royal uncle has the ability to predict the future. If you just pulled a guess out from thin air, then please keep your mouth shut. Lu Mu Yen sneered, I'll keep my own life safe during the trial, so I won't need you elites of the empire to be concerned about it. Although Lon Si had warned them that if they caused trouble for themselves, which end up taking their own lives, then they must take responsibility for that themselves. She knew that to be the truth, but the superiors of Yanzhou Kingdom wouldn't, as much as possible, let those that participated in the trial to die. And Yun Zmo, expectedly, should be one of the people from the two teams they would have secretly ordered to take care of in the trial. Her choosing to participate in the trial meant that she naturally had certainty of success. At the very least, she wouldn't be worse off than anyone in this room in terms of having life-saving skills. She didn't need anyone to protect her. Facing Yun Zmo's doubts, Lu Mu Yen actually wasn't that angry. She felt that Yun Zmo didn't have malicious intent towards her, and instead, it was the other members of the Imperial team that looked down on her greatly. Except, after coming to this world, she had already grown accustomed to these strange eyes she occasionally received. The reason why she deliberately created conflict and counterattacked was so that she could more conveniently facilitate the implementation of her plan. She came to the glacial mountain range not only to participate in the trial, but also because she had a very important thing to do, that is, to find the deep orchid and refine the foundation establishment pill. When that time came, it was naturally impossible to act with these people. That's what you said, don't regret it when the time comes. Yungu smiled with ridicule and looked down upon Lu Mu Yen with extreme disdain. Yungu, shut up. Yunlong furrowed his brows and berated roughly, suddenly feeling a sense of disgust towards this younger sister of a different mother. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Yungu didn't expect that his royal brother would scold her for Lu Mu Yan's sake, revealed an unconvinced expression, but didn't say anything again. Lu Mu Yan can go and seek death as long as it didn't implicate them. It wasn't like she would help her anyways. In the Imperial team all but Yunlong cast looks of hostility towards Lu Mu Yan. Yun Zmo was their legend, was their object of worship, and they couldn't tolerate Lu Mu Yan belittling and slandering him so. Yun Zmo remained sitting coldly and expressionlessly, providing no indication of anything. He didn't mean to look down on Lu Mu Yen, nor did he believe that she would hold them back. He simply routinely asked the members of the trial teams about their situation. The cultivation base that Lu Mu Yen displayed was only a great sword master. With such strength, it was extremely dangerous to do missions in the border between the outer ring and the inner ring. To be more precise, it was impossible to stay alive. He meant for it to be a reminder but ended up blundering. However, his temper was always cold, so he didn't intend to explain. This time, he not only had to participate in the trial to compete for a place, but he also shouldered the responsibility of looking after other people as much as he could. He couldn't be willful, so no matter what Lu Mu Yen said, if she was really in danger, he would still take action. Yun Song took a deep look at Yun Gu and already had determined the result of her trial in his heart. Alright, I'm going to talk about the rules of the trial now. Yun Song understood not to mention what happened just now. It was useless to say any more, and he could only hope that Lu Mu Yen wouldn't hold a grudge against Yun Zmo because of such a trivial matter. In the trial, between your two teams, you would compete for the 6 quotas that allowed you to participate in the continental tournament for hegemony. And your trial this time was divided into 3 main segments. First, all of you will set off from here and head for the border between the outer ring and the inner rind of the glacial mountain range, during which no internal fighting is allowed. Second, after arriving, you can freely form teams and complete 2 missions each. Those that don't complete them will be eliminated. And third, the remaining people could still form teams freely, and the 6 people who have completed the final mission will be the winners. The content of the missions will be told to you by this old man when arrive at the given locations on the outer and inner rings of the glacial mountain range. Yun Song glanced sharply at the 2 teams and said with a stern warning, "You are allowed to snatch any mission article from anyone in the trial, but you are never allowed to deliberately kill each other. Offenders will be killed without mercy." These trial rules were all set to adapt to the continental tournament for hegemony. Allowing them to form teams was so that the future 6 could adjust to and support each other when they enter the tournament for hegemony and compete with players from other countries. While allowing the trial members to compete with each other was so that they could understand the cruelty of the world and better train their resilience and mind. Yes. Everyone replied in unison. Don't be relying on luck. Even the periphery of the glacial mountain range is extremely dangerous. Everything you do should sit on the premise that you are kept alive. Don't force anything. Yun Clan panned the room and emphasized the issue of safety again. The people who sat here were all outstanding among the younger generation of Yanzhou Kingdom. He didn't wish anyone to fall after the trial, and even if it was unavoidable, he hoped to at least minimize the loss. Yes. Early tomorrow morning, the few instructors will lead you all to the border of the outer and inner ring of the glacial mountain range first. Yun Zmo will be the captain of your first segment. You must follow his every command. Do you have any problems with that? Yun Song's look relaxed somewhat as he asked. No. Then dismissed. Go have a good rest. Yes, Imperial teacher. Early the next morning, Lu Mu Yen and the others left the cave dwelling and hurried towards the outskirts of the glacial mountain range. Along the way, they saw a vast expanse of white surrounding them. The entire forest was dressed in white, and so quiet that there weren't even any sounds of birds. After half a day, the snowflakes gradually fell from the sky, and when it touched one's body or face, it was so cold that it made one shudder. It even hurt. Everyone, use an elemental energy shield. Lan Si stopped in his steps and a light green circle of light encased his entire body. The falling snowflakes slipped from the circle of light and could no longer get close to their bodies. When other people saw this, they quickly mobilized the elemental energy within them, then 5 or 6 different colored elemental energy circles of light lit up, forming a scenic view within the vast snowy land. What Lu Mu Yen mobilized was the fire attribute elemental energy circle of light. She could comprehend all the elements of this land, but the one she was most adept in and had the deepest comprehension of was the fire elemental energy. Flakes of snow drifted down petal by petal, and before it could near her, the shield of light would melt it into droplets of water that fell to the floor. This scene also fell into the eyes of many attentive people. There were 3 instructors from the Imperial family that lead the team with Lan Si, with the main lead being a person named Yunji. He scrutinized the mountain not far away. This snow really came at the time wrong. Let's go to that mountain and find a place to rest first. Lan Si and the rest nodded in agreement. Snowflakes such as these that were corrosive shouldn't be allowed to make contact with the skin for long periods of time, otherwise one would be inflicted with the cold poison. If one wanted to resist, one needed to use their elemental energy circle of light shield to protect their body. But in such a dangerous place, continuously using elemental energy within them not only meant that it would be quickly exhausted, but if one encountered a demonic beast attack, they would all be in danger. The snow fell heavier and heavier, and the energy of the elemental energy circle of light that everyone used to resist the corrosion was constantly being strengthened. Gradually, everyone's strength couldn't match their desire to protect themselves. Luckily in the last 2 hours, they finally found a big cave on a hillside. Lan Si and Yunai went in first to investigate, and after they came out, they called everyone in. This cave is very deep. We went in for a long time, but we still haven't reached the end. Well, rest here for now and wait for the heavy snow to recede, then continue on our way. All of you, quickly replenish your elemental energy. Lan Si's eyes were deep, without his usual gentle smile, and a rare look of gravity surfaced on his face. Yes. After walking with the elemental energy shield for so long, whether it was the students' physical strength of elemental energy, they were all depleted by a lot. Everyone sat down and began to absorb the spiritual force of heaven and earth to replenish themselves. Lan Si and the 6 other instructors left 2 of them to guard against emergencies at the front and the back and recovered their elemental energy in rotation. After sitting down, Lu Mu Yen raised her head and looked deeply at the cave that she could see no end to, and an ominous feeling rose in her heart without warning. She didn't sit cross-legged like the rest to enter a state and absorb spiritual force to replenish her elemental energy, but instead directly took out the candy from Lan Si and threw them into her mouth in one breath. Then she telepathically told Lu Mu Bai to also eat the candy first to replenish their elemental energy. When the sweet scent of the candy pill spread, the others noticed the actions of the brother and sister. Lan Si couldn't help but twitch the corner of his lips. Did this brother and sister pair seriously take what he gave them as candy? The Imperial Academy students all knew what the candy was, and they looked at them with eyes that expressed "my flesh hurt one, what prodigals." Forget about Lu Mu Yen, the prodigal girl acting crazy. Why was Lu Mu Bai also following in the nonsense? These things should naturally be used during a critical time. It was just a waste to eat it now. Of course, in a while, they wouldn't think this way, and they would all regret how they didn't imitate the brother and sister pair. The members of the Imperial family also noticed the actions of the brother and sister pair. Although they didn't understand, they didn't think about it so as not to be distracted, and soon entered the cultivation recovery mode. After Lu Mu Yen finished eating the candy, the elemental energy in her body was quickly replenished. There wasn't any need to recover using meditation, so she stood up and walked to the edge of the cave, grabbed a handful of dirt and smelled it. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. This behavior made Lan Si very curious. He looked at Lu Mu Yen distractedly while meditating and asked, "Lu Mu Yen, what are you smelling? You can't eat this kind of dirt." Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at Lan Si. With which eye did he see her wanting to eat this dirt? But since they were all locusts connected by one thread too, she still reminded them as if intentionally yet also unintentionally, "Teacher, you didn't notice any peculiar smell in this cave?" Peculiar smell? Lan Si was surprised, then sniffed around everywhere, and gradually also felt that something was wrong. Lu Mu Yen, just what's the matter with you? Not only did you not take a good rest, and instead wasted all the candy used to replenish elemental energy that Teacher Lon gave, but you also go and sniff some dirt? Where's the peculiar smell in here? I think you're just bored and looking for trouble. You don't need to rest, but don't affect other people recovering their elemental energy. Hu Fei, also an instructor from the Imperial Academy, looked at Lu Mu Yen unhappily. There was nothing but provocation in his words. The moment his voice fell, a few students that were meditating and recovering opened their eyes and looked at Lu Mu Yen in disgust. They really questioned just how this trash was chosen to participate in the trial. They really wanted to throw her out, but considering Lu Mu Bei's face, they were barely able to resist cursing at her. Am I affecting others? All I was doing was smelling some dirt. What did it have to do with you? Instead, instructor must be deliberately trying to affect the Imperial team's recovery by reprimanding so loudly. Lu Mu Yen leaned against the wall of the cave, raised an eyebrow and continued, after all, if we met danger, our students all have the candy that Teacher Lon distributed before to replenish our elemental energy, while the members of the Imperial family. She only spoke half the sentence, but her meaning was evident. You can incite disharmony, this old mother three of yours can too. Lu Mu Yen sneered in her heart. She could now dare conclude that this man surnamed Hu was just purely against her. The hostility was just too obvious. Hu Fei didn't expect Lu Mu Yen to counterattack him, and his face was black with anger. Then he finally raised his hand and pointed at Lu Mu Yen, saying, "So this is your attitude towards a teacher?" Lu Mu Yen looked at his outstretched finger coldly. She hated others pointing at her the most. The corners of her lips rose into a careless and casual smile that carried with it a sense of ridicule. Is there any problem with my attitude towards a teacher? A teacher worthy of my respect, I naturally will respect. As for those like Teacher who have bad intentions, forgive me for I don't dare to praise. Even if I'm the Imperial Academy student, I really can't stand it anymore. After all, right now we still have to participate in the first round of the examination with the members of the Imperial family, no? Hu Fei really didn't expect Lu Mu Yen to argue so tediously and vexatiously. Seeing that one of the instructors from the Imperial family cast a suspicious and unhappy gaze on him, he almost collapsed from being angered. To explain wasn't a good idea, yet not to explain was also not a good idea. Enough. Is it time for a quarrel right now? Yunji was the eldest and he immediately scolded them upon seeing their quarrel intensify. Then he looked at Hu Fei with a faint dislike in his eyes. Hu Fei, why are you, as an instructor, seizing onto a little girl and not letting go? She only smelled the dirt, how could it affect the recovery of the others? In fact, you being so loud just now made it appear as if it was on purpose. Yunji didn't like Hu Fei from their first encounter. This person harbored evil intentions, that was his judgment of Hu Fei. As for his feelings towards Lu Mu Yen, he wasn't like the rest that looked at her with colored eyes not to mention the order that the Imperial teacher gave him before coming, so he naturally was biased towards Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen glanced at Yunjin in surprise, a little curious that this person didn't actually blame her, but instead helped her. Hu Fei was so angered he almost got a crooked nose. Yunji actually humiliated him like this using his identity as one of the leaders of this team. He noted down this grudge. 1-inch case people forgot, flesh/meat, forgot which one I used previously, hurt figuratively means that them being so wasteful and luxurious hurts them as if they were cutting off a piece of their own meat lol. 2 figuratively means they're in this together. No idea how that originated. 3 arrogant way of referring to oneself by females. For like wearing colored glasses. Means someone who is prejudiced, so in this case, he didn't look at her in a prejudiced way like the others. Yunji's warning caused Hu Fei to temporarily shut his mouth. Lu Mu Yen also stopped talking, but continued to walk a few steps, then squat down to scrutinize the cave wall. Even though her behavior made others feel she had a problem, there weren't any voices that questioned her anymore, and they all calmed down to recover. Lu Mu Yan looked at the tiny crawl marks on the cave wall, and a trace of understanding and fear surfaced in her eyes. She quickly got up and walked to Lan Si's side and said, "Teacher, this cave's dangerous. Let's leave quickly." Lan Si looked up at Lu Mu Yan, unsure of whether to cry or laugh, and asked, "Really? Where'd you see it?" Then thought to himself, "Oh, little grandaunt, can you just be quiet for a while? Don't you see that most of the other students want to throw you out?" Pfft. Yungu snorted, opened her eyes with a look of disgust. "Lu Mu Yan, you don't need to exaggerate to scare just to attract Qi Yi Xian's attention, do you? This cave is so quiet, there's nothing strange at all. Where is there any danger? If you're as afraid as a mouse, then get out and stop affecting us recovering our elemental energy. Otherwise, even if you're Lu Mu Bei's younger sister, he'll personally take care of you." As soon as Yunge's voice fell, an icy pressure spread in the cave. Lu Mu Bai stood up and walked beside Lu Mu Yan. There was a chill in his eyes that looked at Yungu, and his voice was cold and oppressive. "Say that again." Yungu was an advanced phase sword spirit, so at this time, beneath Lu Mu Bei's pressure, she felt her heart tremble. She gritted her teeth and glared at Lu Mu Bai, saying stubbornly, "It's your younger sister that's looking for a sense of existence. You being partial towards her is only hurting her, not helping her. I'm right." The coldness in Lu Mu Bei's eyes gradually deepened. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and a killing intent was inadvertently revealed, which caused Yungu to feel a sense of fear in her heart for no reason. Suddenly a domineering golden light flashed by. Ji Han Su stood in front of Yungu and temporarily resolved the murderous pressure. He toughened his skin and said with a smile, "Mu Bai, Yungu doesn't have any malicious intent either, so there's no need for you to argue with a little girl like her." But he scolded Lu Mu Yan in his heart. This woman really was a troublemaker. She could cause a fight wherever she went. Of course, Ji Han Su was also very angry at his betrothed, Yungu. If it weren't because if she got into trouble, he would too. He didn't want to step out and face Lu Mu Bai. At this time, all those that were meditating couldn't continue to concentrate on recovering either, and most people cast unhappy gazes at Lu Mu Yan. This woman really was someone that held them back. Lu Mu Bai glanced at Ji Han Su lightly and spit out a word coldly, "Move." Ji Han Su's anger only grew. He was cautious of Lu Mu Bai, but it didn't mean he was afraid of him, so he stood up straight and said, "If you want to go over, then pass me first." A coldness condensed on Lu Mu Bei's gentle and handsome face. When he was about to move, Lu Mu Yan suddenly grabbed his arm from behind and took a step back. He looked at her in confusion. Lu Mu Yan's gaze was transfixed on the endless cave, sighed and said, "It's coming." No one understood her behavior, let alone what she meant by "it's coming." "Quickly step back, be careful." Lan Si shouted suddenly, stretched out both his hands and sucked hard. The two students who were sitting near the side of the cave was grabbed by him. Immediately, everyone could only hear countless hiss sounds resounding in the cave, making people's scalp numb. But before anyone could react, they saw countless small blue serpents that were as thick as one's arm slither out of the endless cave and towards them swiftly. "Ice Kite serpents, it's the Ice Kite serpent!" Someone in the group of students suddenly exclaimed. The others all took out their own magic tools and held them in their hands with seriousness. Ice Kite serpents were social demonic beasts. The moment it appeared, it would be in the hundreds to thousands, and there could even be a high-level Ice Kite serpent king. They didn't expect that after only just stepping foot in the glacial mountain range's peripheral, they'd encounter this kind of trouble. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, calm down. This is also a test for everyone. Yunji said with furrowed his brows as he looked at the chaotic crowd. Currently, Lu Muyan's eyes weren't on the ice-crite serpents that were slithering towards them, but instead continued to stare at the depths of the cave with emotions that others couldn't understand. Lu Muyan squinted at Mo Yan on her shoulder and twitched the corners of her mouth. You want me to go kill the Tier 5 ice-crite serpent king in the cave? A determination to win flashed across Mo Yan's eyes and he telepathically replied, its demonic beast crystal core is useful to me. Do you think that with my current cultivation base, I can pass through tens of thousands of ice-crite serpents ranging from Tier 2 to Tier 4, and rush in alone to kill the ice-crite serpent king for you? Lu Muyan rolled her eyes. You must still be asleep. Don't you have a kind of powder that can paralyze demonic beasts for a short period of time? It should be easy to deal with these little serpents, right? It'll help you after we rush in. Mo Yan's voice carried with it a sense of certainty. Lu Muyan took a breath. This damned spirit pet, just who was the master? But towards Mo Yan's proposal, she felt a little tempted. But let these people suffer a bit before we take action. Perfect to help us share some burdens. Mo Yan sneered. He definitely hadn't forgotten how these people belittled Lu Muyan just now. The master he had temporarily recognized wasn't someone anyone could bully. Lu Muyan nodded in agreement. The reason why she was too lazy to argue with Yungu just now was because she had discovered that the serpents at the depths of this cave had awakened because of their aura. Now, she'll just let these elites of the empire to have a taste of the ice-crite serpents first. She wasn't a bad person, nor a villain, but she definitely wasn't a good person either. It was only acceptable to punish them a little. Besides, with her current cultivation base, it was indeed difficult for her, even if she wanted to deal with all the ice-crite serpents. Lan Si held a thin, translucent green sword and swung a few times at the serpents that had crawled over. Several aggressive sword auras with dense pressure swept towards them. The hundreds of ice-crite serpents in the front two rows were chopped into numerous pieces. Yun Si Mo also commanded the others to kill the ice-crite serpents that approached them. Right now, everyone just wanted to get out of the cave as soon as possible, but no one thought that, before they could even approach the exit, the same hiss sound sounded. No one knew from where another group of ice-crite serpents slithered out and blocked the exit completely. Lan Si waved the long sword in his hand and recalled Lu Muyan's unusual state after entering the cave. So it seemed that she used the fastest way to restore her elemental energy because she felt danger. When he remembered her act of smelling the dirt, he couldn't help but sigh within that Lu Muyan's nose was just so good. He looked around at the serpents that circled them in all directions and couldn't help but ask, Lu Muyan, what do you think we should do? Do cold food with dressing one. So now they knew to ask her for her opinion. What about when she asked them to leave the cave as soon as possible? Didn't one by one they told her to get out? Lan Si was speechless for a moment. Lu Muyan's temperament really was rather strong, but he could understand it. The moment she mentioned that something smelled weird, he felt that something was wrong in this cave too. When she asked to leave, he was confused and was about to ask for the reason, but who knew that it would be interrupted by Hu Fei and Yungu. In fact, he was also rather wronged. He really didn't doubt Lu Muyan was acting foolishly. At this time, many people also remembered what occurred before. Although they still wondered why Lu Muyan knew that there were dangers hidden in this cave, but more people were blaming Hu Fei and Yungu for being meddlesome. If they hadn't stepped out and delayed time, then they wouldn't be besieged by this huge number of serpents right now. Okay, I tried ha. In Chinese, there's a common way to answer someone when they ask, what should we do? Xin mi ban. If you want to answer in a non-serious way, bickering way, and/or a sarcastic way, you'd answer with something along the lines of dress cold food with sauce, liang ban, especially if you don't know the answer to the question to begin with. It's probably used because ban and bond sound exactly the same, just spelled differently and mean different things, so they chose the commonality in someone, I guess, just randomly used that word one day and it was made popular. It makes no sense, but that's the point, I guess. There is one more meaning behind it though, to ignore the situation/problem. Which actually makes the word rather suiting because it means cold. And I guess it's also like saying to give the situation/problem the cold shoulder. Could also be used to describe desolation, disappointment, heart sinking, etc. Take with that information what you will, ha ha ha. That's just my understanding based on years of hearing and reading that word and a brief Baidu search with Chinese answers while translating XD. Oops, sorry for being a few minutes late. That's on me and my poor time management skills. Chapter 78, Battle the Ice Kite Serpent King, hiss hiss. The entire cave was surrounded by a huge amount of ice kite serpents that flicked their forked tongues. Lu Mu Yen took out the golden long whip and whipped the serpents that closed in on her from time to time. She used her silk mist steps to maneuver around and secretly stuffed small paper bags with powdered drugs to Lu Mu Bai, Yunlan, and the rest. In a moment, scatter the powder on the surrounding snakes. They'll temporarily lose their ability to move and they'll be frozen. Seeing the countless casualties among the serpents on the ground, she telepathically spoke to them in secret. The people were surprised after receiving her telepathic words, but they held the powder she gave them tightly in their hands and prepared to move at the right moment. Elder brother, I'm going into the cave for a while, help cover for me. Lu Mu Yen moved beside Lu Mu Bai and telepathically told him. Lu Mu Bai swung his sword to kill the serpents that attacked while furrowing his brows and said disapprovingly, "What are you doing going deeper in? It's dangerous down there. Or I'll go with you." Elder brother, I'm well aware of the situation. Just help cover for me, I'll be back soon. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were firm. She couldn't always rely on others when encountering difficulties, not to mention she had a way to deal with the Serpent King. Lu Mu Bai felt uneasy, but he also understood the nature of his younger sister. No one could stop what she set her mind on doing. After swinging his sword to clear out a portion of the obstacles, he said, "Go, but you must be careful. If you're not out in an hour, then I'll go in to look for you." "All right." After receiving Lu Mu Bai's approval, Lu Mu Yen tapped her foot and moved towards the inside of the cave quietly when others weren't paying attention. Under Mo Yan's deliberate release of pressure, the low-level ice kite serpents gave way, and in only moments, she had arrived deeper into the cave. And her action also fell in the eyes of Lan Si and Yun Zmo, but the two didn't stop her nor say anything about it. After taking a silent look, they retrieved their gaze and continued to kill the overwhelming serpents. The cave was completely dark, and the walls were slippery. After she left the crowd completely, she took out a night luminous pearl from her interspatial ring, which instantly illuminated 10 meters of her surroundings. She walked forward cautiously as Mo Yen stood on her shoulder, directing her into a long, narrow passage. The ice kite serpent king's at the end of the passage. I don't know what secret skill it used to cover up the fluctuations of a demonic beast and its aura, but that's why the rest of you didn't discover the serpent nest and its existence. In a bit, I'll mobilize my innate talent and use the king-class demonic beast's pressure to temporarily trap it. You take the opportunity to kill it. Mo Yen moved his deep back eyes, and his tone carried with it an inherent domineering attitude and self-confidence. Lu Mu Yen halted. She mobilized the spiritual energy within her, bit her right index finger until it bled, and flicked towards the void. 4 drops of blood rose in the sky, then she stretched out her hand to draw 4 talisman incantations with dense spiritual energy in the void. Only then did she carefully leapt into the cave. As soon as she felt her feet land on the ground by the cave, a sudden extremely cold icicle shot straight towards her. Lu Mu Yen was vigilant throughout, so the moment she landed, she quickly utilized her silk mist steps to maneuver around. The chilling icicle just shot past her shoulder and embedded into the wall behind her, smashing out a hole. She moved a few steps again and stood on a relatively safe high rock. When she raised her eyes, she met a pair of cold serpent eyes. The huge body of the serpent opposite her was coiled on a huge ice pillar. Its whole body was icy blue, and its scales glowed with chillingly light. It flicked its forked tongue and stared at Mo Yen on Lu Mu Yan's shoulder greedily. Seeing the ice-cried serpent king stare at Mo Yen as if watching its prey, Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow, smiled and said, Mo Yen, it's treating you as if you're dinner. There was no shortage of gloating in her tone. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Mo Yen glanced at the woman that was smiling like a flower, turned his head and snorted coldly, is something like that guy worthy? Hiss hiss. Hearing the open conversation between the one human and one beast, the ice-cried serpent king raised its head and hissed, completely angered. It discovered that a group of humans had arrived in its territory earlier, so it decided that when the time was right, it would release all the serpents to attack. It initially wanted to wait for the humans to be bitten to death before going out and swallowing it into its stomach to refine them, but it didn't expect that there would be a weak human who would break in first. The most important thing was that on the shoulder of this weak person, there was a mysterious demonic beast that resembled a fire cloud mink. Yet it made it feel as if its energy and blood inflated, and a thirst for it was birthed spontaneously. There was a voice in its heart that kept telling it that as long as it swallowed and refined the little white beast opposite, it would be able to break through to a Tier 6 demonic beast. That extreme desire caused the ice-cried serpent to hiss a few times, open its mouth and spat out dozens of ice arrows that contained dual elemental attributes towards Lu Mu Yen. It wanted to kill the one human and one beast before it and devour them. Lu Mu Yen darted away and maneuvered around the ice cave ceaselessly. Because of the difference in their cultivation levels, not to mention the ice-cried serpent king owned the dual attributes of ice and water, she could only put in all her effort to barely avoid the ice arrows that constantly shot towards her and prevent herself from being injured. Mo Yen leapt off Lu Mu Yan's shoulder. His body suddenly enlarged from the size of a palm to at least more than a meter long before stopping. He roared violently towards the ice-cried serpent. Roar! A deafening roar echoed in the huge ice cave. Mo Yen integrated a kind of soul attack type innate talent into the roar. The pressure that belonged to a king-class demonic beast stacked on top of each other, and like the explosion of a mountain torrent, rolled towards the ice-cried serpent king. Lu Mu Yen also avoided the last ice arrow at that moment. She muttered a few sentences, waved her hand casually, and 4 void talismans that carried spiritual energy rose into the air, taking the opportunity to surround the ice-cried serpent while it was stunned by Mo Yan's roar. Hiss hiss. The pressure caused the ice-cried serpent to shudder from the bottom of his heart. Its demonic soul within its Yaofu trembled slightly and it raised its head in pain as it hissed a few times. Although Mo Yen was able to use his innate talent, but because his cultivation base was only at the strength of a Tier 3 demonic beast, the same level as Lu Mu Yen, so the period of time that he was able to utilize his innate talent was relatively short. There was only one chance. When the pressure that wound around its Yaofu and demonic soul gradually dissipated, the ice-cried serpent king was completely angered with some fear. A trace of scarlet rose in its ice-cold serpent eyes. Seeing that the demonic beast that was at least 1 meter long on the ground had returned to the size of a palm, the Serpent King felt disdain towards it, so what if it was a king-class demonic beast? Now the opponent's strength wasn't even comparable to itself from a middle-class demonic clan. The greedy color and fierce light in its eyes grew thicker. It definitely must swallow its opponent and refine its demonic core. Maybe it wouldn't only advance to a Tier 6 demonic beast, it could also be able to reach Tier 7 or Tier 8. Just thinking about it dilated its pores in excitement, extremely transparent. Lu Mu Yen sneered, the Serpent King opposite her would have to pay the price for underestimating her right now. She created 16 Taoist seals in the air and inserted them into the 4 void talismans one by one. For symbols 1 killing array, condense. Lu Mu Yen exclaimed lightly. The 6 Taoist seals echoed in collaboration with each other, and with the 4 void talismans. They connected to form a long, transparent ribbon talisman incantation which perfectly wrapped around the thick body of the Ice-Krite Serpent King. The Ice-Krite Serpent King felt an external force restrain its body. With a look, he discovered it was that weak human woman that was causing trouble. It moved its head a little and didn't place much importance to her, then opened its ferocious mouth and bit towards Mo Yen on the ground. Lu Mu Yen curled the corners of her lips and spit out a word coldly: explode. One the 4 symbols refers to the 4 guardian beasts or 4 gods or 4 auspicious beasts, aka Black Tortoise of the North, Azure Dragon of the East, Vermilion Bird of the South and White Tiger of the West. Also aka Genbu, Sairyu, Suzaku and Bayako. Chapter 79, Kill, Explode. Lu Muyan's cold voice fell and one of the characters on the ribbon-like talisman incantation that wound around the Ice-Krite Serpent King leapt out and transformed into a transparent cyan dragon with dense spiritual energy that whistled out and plunged directly into the Ice-Krite Serpent King's heart. The huge mouth of the Ice-Krite Serpent King halted above Mo Yan's head and its eyes instantly turned bloodshot. Suddenly, its body limped, and it collapsed onto the ice-cold floor heavily. It curled into a ball as if it was in extreme pain. But it wasn't over. If one listened carefully, there was actually a muffled sound that resounded from within the Ice-Krite Serpent's body, like firecrackers that had been lit. Hiss hiss. The Ice-Krite Serpent King moved in pain and hovered above the giant ice pillar, hitting the icicle continuously from head to tail. Its internal organs were slowly being corroded by the spiritual energy talisman dragon, which then exploded in its body. Its strong impacts and struggles made the originally stable cave be on the verge of collapse as pieces of ice and rock fell. Lu Mu Yen narrowed her eyes, stretched out 2 fingers and drew in the air again. A flash of white spiritual energy once again penetrated into the body of the Ice-Krite Serpent's body, then it finally fell heavily from the giant pillar and hit the ground again. When the dragon talisman burrowed itself into the Yaofu of the Ice-Krite Serpent King and tore the serpent's demonic soul out from its body, the Ice-Krite Serpent King's body completely stopped struggling and it laid quietly on the ground without a single breath left in it. Lu Mu Yen waved her hand and the half-CUN long one transparent talisman dragon cheerfully flew over, holding the Ice-Krite Serpent King's demonic soul, and landed on her hand. She smiled softly, then the talisman dragon disappeared into her body, while the demonic soul was trapped within a new spiritual talisman that she drew. This is useful to you. Lu Mu Yen threw the transparent ball that imprisoned the Ice-Krite Serpent King's demonic soul to Mo Yen. Mo Yen opened his mouth and swallowed the demonic soul of the Ice-Krite Serpent. The spiritual talisman drawn by Lu Mu Yen was also broken in his mouth. Lu Mu Yen took a few steps forward and nodded with satisfaction as she looked at the intact Ice-Krite Serpent King corpse. It would be more appropriate for this corpse to be taken back to Huashao to be refined into a few magic tools that shed gift to her family. Although the corpse of the flame unicorn beast was tier 6, but no one except her and the Lu clan had comprehended the fire elemental energy attribute, so the magic tools refined from the flame unicorn beast's scales weren't suitable for them. She took out a dagger from her interspatial ring and directly inserted it into the Ice-Krite Serpent's head. Then she channeled her elemental energy to crack it open, and with a grab, 2 blue crystal cores, one deep, one light, landed in her hand. Who expected that the talent of the Ice-Krite Serpent King wasn't that bad? It actually condensed 2 crystal cores of different attributes. Luckily it only recently advanced to tier 5 demonic beast, otherwise we would have to use some of our trump cards to kill it today. Lu Mu Yen played with the crystal core in her hand and raised an eyebrow at Mo Yen. Mo Yen didn't even glance at the corpse on the ground and jumped directly onto Lu Mu Yen's shoulder. His voice was cold as usual, "You still have some trump cards." He also went to watch the Academy's grand competition that Lu Mu Yen participated in last time. Her strength was unexpected, and her combat power was extraordinary. It truly did give him a little surprise that day. But he didn't expect that he still underestimated this woman. Today, he hadn't even seen the methods that Lu Mu Yen used to kill the Ice-Kite Serpent King before, even when he was at the peak of his strength. With such methods, it would even make him cautious and fearful if they weren't in a contractual relationship. But when he was already shocked by it, Lu Mu Yen actually told him that she still had more trump cards. It truly overthrew all that he knew. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks Lu Mu Yan's neat and clean combat mode, and how her proficiency wasn't even inferior to when he was at his peak. Was this really a clan's trash? How could a great sword master cultivation base woman understand so much? Why does a 16-year-old young woman have such rich combat experience and methods? She was like a cloud of mist, and every bit that she displayed wasn't her true self, as if she was looming within layers upon layers of thin veils, making people want to explore and understand even deeper. Lu Mu Yen utilized her mental energy and put the entire corpse of the Ice-Kite Serpent King into her interspatial ring. She stretched out her hand to poke Mo Yan's back and chuckled softly, saying, "This glacial mountain range is very dangerous, maybe you'll see my trump card soon." Mo Yan's eyes that were as deep and boundless as the sea fluctuated like a whirlpool. Although, between him and Lu Mu Yen, they were under the contract of equals, but their mutual understanding and trust had not yet reached the point where they'd rely on and support each other entirely. He stopped inquiring, just stared down at the 2 crystal cores in Lu Mu Yan's hand and said, "Give me the 2 crystal cores for refining." "You want to refine it directly?" Lu Mu Yen glanced around the serpent cave as if looking for something. "How can I absorb it without refining it directly?" "As long as I refine these 2 crystal cores, plus the demonic soul I just swallowed, they'll soon be able to break through to tier 5 strength. When I have time, I'll use these crystal cores to refine a cauldron of pills for you. The effect's much better than refining it directly." "Sure." Mo Yen was still quite convinced by Lu Mu Yan's alchemy skills. Seeing that Lu Mu Yen still wasn't leaving, he looked towards the corner of the cave and asked incomprehensibly, "What are you looking for?" "Of course I'm looking for the treasure collected by the Ice-Kite Serpent King. It's been in this glacial mountain range for so many years, it's impossible for it to not have collected the spiritual herbs and spiritual items here." Lu Mu Yen used the whip to remove an ice stone as she explained to Mo Yen. Mo Yen couldn't help but twitch the corner of his eyes. This woman really didn't let go of anything. Then he said jokingly, "I'm the best at finding spiritual herbs and spiritual items." When Lu Mu Yen saw that there was nothing under the removed ice stone, she was a little disappointed, but then she suddenly heard Mo Yan's words and couldn't help but knock her head lightly with her knuckle. "That's right. How could I have forgotten you still have that talent?" Seeing Mo Yen lying aloofly on her shoulder, she grabbed him and tossed him out. "Don't just know how to enjoy and not do work, go find the treasure." Mo Yen turned his head and headed towards the left side of the cave in a bad mood. He had lived for so long, and no one had dared to toss him. Lu Mu Yen really was the first person. But he didn't dislike such actions, and even a sense of the desire to coddle someone, that had never appeared before, rose in his heart. He really was being infected by this black-bellied woman. A spirit devourer's sensitivity to spiritual herbs were hundreds of times stronger than Fire Cloud Mink's. He only casually sniffed around and already confirmed the location of the Ice-Kite Serpent's treasure. He stood atop an ice stone that wasn't quite large nor small and said, "The things are placed beneath this ice stone, come get it yourself." Lu Mu Yan's eyes lit up and her stunning little face displayed a gleeful smile. After Mo Yen leapt onto her shoulder again, she waved her whip and smashed the ice stone in half. Sure enough, beneath the stone, she discovered a large hole. She raised the corners of her lips, plunged the whip into the hole skillfully, and with a tug, the treasures that the Ice-Kite Serpent King had prized over the years all entered her interspatial ring. However, due to the time constraints, she didn't investigate it immediately, but instead used her silk mist steps and leapt towards the entrance. After exiting the cave's entrance, she also used her elemental energy to strike down the ice mountain's loose gravel to seal the entrance. After completing all this, she swiftly headed towards the trial teams. Now that the Ice-Krite Serpent King was dead, the commands that controlled the group of serpents would also disappear. With the serpents having no leader, after her eldest brother and the rest used the powder she gave, she believed that the battle above them would almost be over too. She had to return among them before the battle was over. Chapter 80. Attitude Change. Lu Mu Yen used silk mist steps at its fastest and arrived in the cave where everyone had rested before. The battle wasn't over yet, and at this time, piles of Ice-Krite serpent corpses were everywhere. The students were practically exhausted as they dealt with the last wave of small serpents. She quickly moved to Lu Mu Bei's side when the others weren't paying attention and waved her whip to help him behead a wave of small serpents that surrounded him. Lu Mu Bei had taken the candy, that was from Lan Si, earlier with Lu Mu Yen, so he still had more than half of his elemental energy left, which meant, compared to the others, he had it much easier. Only after seeing his younger sister return safely did his hovering heart gradually fall back into place. Done. Lu Mu Bei asked Lu Mu Yen telepathically. Lu Mu Yen and Lu Mu Bei killed the last batch of Ice-Krite serpents back to back. Yep, it's done. The battles of the rest were also coming to an end. Several students had practically exhausted their elemental energy, and it was thanks to the help of Lan Si and the several teachers that they could survive the swarm of serpents. When the last Ice-Krite serpent was killed, whether it was the Empire Academy trial students or the Imperial family trial team, most of them were sitting on the ground panting and many were more or less injured too. Yunzi Mo walked straight to Lu Mu Yen with a touch of complexity in his eyes and asked, "You gave them those powdered drugs? So what if it's me?" Lu Mu Yen knew that Yunzi Mo and Lan Si had both noticed that she had left earlier, but she couldn't consider too much at the time. Though, if Yunzi Mo mentioned it now, she inevitably would experience some trouble. Yunzi Mo's eyes darkened, fell silent, then faintly said, "Nothing." Then he turned directly around and walked not far away to sit and meditate to recover his elemental energy. A sliver of surprise slipped past Lu Mu Yan's heart. Yunzi Mo's brain wasn't ill, was it? But this was fine too. It saved her from having to explain to everyone. Lan Si looked at Yunzi Mo thoughtfully, then asked Lu Mu Yen, "Do you still have the powder drug?" Hearing Lan Si's question, everyone in their cave cast their gazes towards Lu Mu Yen, and many people held complex emotions in their eyes. If it weren't for the powder that Lu Mu Bei and the others scattered that temporarily paralyzed those waves of Tier 3 and 4 Ice-Krite serpents, they could still be fighting bitterly right now, or there could have even been some casualties. The powdered drug's effect was truly strong. Putting the fact that it was useful against Tier 4 demonic beasts aside, it could even be used in group attacks. If everyone carried some on them, next time, even if they encountered a group of demonic beast attacks, they'd still have confidence in escaping. There are still some more. Lu Mu Yan didn't hesitate and took out a part of the powdered drug she had in her interspatial ring and gave it to Lan Si. Since knowing that she was coming to the glacial mountain range, she had equipped herself with a lot of sleeping powder that she refined. Now that Lan Si asked for it for the other students, she would still give him this face. What's more, in the first segment where everyone traveled together, they would experience both glory and loss as one. Lan Si nodded with a smile, "Thank you. I'll report to the principal to compensate you after returning to the Empire." "No need." Lu Mu Yen smiled indifferently. These powders weren't worth a lot of money, so they might as well be used to buy people's hearts. Lan Si raised his eyebrow and with a gentle smile again, "Young Miss Lu sure is generous. Then we won't be courteous." Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him and cursed secretly, "Fox." Lan Si asked Ji Xian to redistribute the powdered drug that he obtained from Lu Mu Yan to everyone who participated in the trial. Put these powdered drugs away well. There are a lot of demonic beast packs in the glacial mountain range. If you meet them again, this is also a means of saving your life. Yes. After everyone answered, some of them even looked at Lu Mu Yan apologetically. Their previous attitude towards her was too arbitrary. Then Lan Si and the several instructors picked through the piles of ice-crite serpent corpses in the cave, dug out their crystal cores, and gave everyone a share. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Only after taking a rest in the cave for the night, when everyone's physical strength and elemental energy returned to their peaks, did Lan Si and Yunji lead them on their way. Along the way, many people's attitudes towards Lu Mu Yan had changed a lot, and from time to time, some people would even strike up a conversation with her. We've arrived at the periphery, let's take a break first. Once we enter here, we'll be in the world where Tier 4 demonic beasts roam. Their cultivation base is similar to yours, so be vigilant at all times. When they arrived at a place where green plants grew, fresh flowers intertwined, and a forest that grew vigorously, Lan Si ordered everyone to rest. Not all places in the glacial mountain range were ice mountains. There was only daylight here, but in some places where the sun shone all year round, all seasons were practically like spring. After resting for a while, they continued on their way. Except after only walking for not even 2 hours, they heard some fighting noises and the roaring of demonic beasts in the woods ahead. Lan Si made a stop gesture, exchanged a glance with Yunji, then handed the students over to the several other instructors, before the two leapt in that direction. Lu Mu Yan looked in that direction and telepathically spoke to Mo Yan. Did the people ahead meet demonic beasts? It wasn't far ahead, and if she spread her mental energy, then she could find out what was happening there, but there was a demonic sense that was super strong, where with one casual sweep, the demonic beast could know what was occurring 1,000 li away, so she naturally knew to put it to good use. A group of humans and a demonic beast pack encountered each other, but it was solved quickly. The strength of that group is much stronger than your group. Mo Yan laid on Lu Mu Yan's shoulder and replied lazily. Lu Mu Yan stroked her chin, and the corner of her lips rose into an arc. The group of people ahead should undoubtedly be the pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. Not long after, Lan Si sent a signal to continue ahead, so Ji Xian rushed over with everyone. After passing through the woods, one saw many Tier 3 and 4 demonic beast corpses lying in the open ground. There were some people sitting separately on clean grass, and they appeared to be a small team. You guys come to rest as well for a bit. Lan Si pointed to a clean, open space to let the students of Yanzhou Kingdom rest, while he, himself, stood with 2 middle-aged men to chat, seeming to be acquaintances. Lu Mu Yan swept the 2 groups of people and a smile rose in her eyes, but she didn't take the initiative to step forward. When she walked to the place Lan Si designated, and just as she was about to sit, there was a sound of surprise that entered her ears. Mu Yan. When Yi Qing Han sat in his place to rest, he had heard that the students who participated in the trial competition from Yanzhou Kingdom also came. He only thought to glance over casually, but didn't expect to see the beautiful, otherworldly, white-clothed woman in the crowd. Lu Mu Yan stopped in her steps, turned her head, and smiled charmingly. Qing Han. The familiar greeting between the two surprised everyone in the woods, especially the few women who had been sitting in the clearing as they looked at Lu Mu Yan with dislike in their eyes. Yi Qing Yan patted the young woman beside him, then they stood up and walked towards Lu Mu Yan. Mu Yan, long time no see. Yi Qing Yan was still dressed in his dark patterned black robe with a rare smile on his handsome face. Lu Mu Yan nodded, her eyes dyed with a smile. Long time no see. Elder brother, is she the elder sister Mu Yan you spoke of? The sweet-looking and petite girl who stood beside Yi Qing Han asked with a smile. Yes, she's Lu Mu Yan. Yi Qing Han's voice carried a bit of pampering, then introduced to Lu Mu Yan, this is my little sister, Yi Qinglu. Elder sister Mu Yan, you're so beautiful. Yi Qinglu blinked at Lu Mu Yan with a natural familiarity. She didn't know why, but just liked this woman, that her elder brother spoke of constantly, at first glance. Qinglu is also very beautiful. Lu Mu Yan nodded and smiled cordially. The friendliness of the girl opposite her didn't appear to be fake, so a sense of intimacy was also birthed unconsciously in Lu Mu Yan's heart. Perhaps this was simply fate. Chapter 81. The Yi clan's brother and sister Yi Qing Han was relatively humble, but there was a sense of distance towards everyone. It was difficult to see him reveal a smile from the bottom of his heart to anyone. Yi Qinglu, the little princess of the Yi family, had a very lively and cheerful appearance, but she rarely truly approved of anyone. No one had ever seen her display the intimacy that she did today towards anyone. Many people were puzzled by the attitude of the Yi clan's brother and sister towards Lu Mu Yan. Those who didn't know Lu Mu Yan's identity were all wondering who she was. It was the first time for Xueling and Enchanting Xian to see Yi Qing Han display such a gentle side to a woman. In particular, the joy and warm color in his eyes pricked their eyes. Enchanting Xian had already found out Lu Mu Yan's identity before. From her point of view, this woman was just a fallen noble. The only thing that made her fear was the mysterious master behind Lu Mu Yan. Originally, she wanted to immediately get rid of Lu Mu Yan, but the other party had the marrow cleansing pill. After the superiors of the 10 distinguished clans received this news, the moment this trial ended, they would definitely go to Yanzhou Kingdom to discuss this matter. The elder of her clan also warned her not to make a move without permission and lose a great opportunity because of something small. Enchanting Xian's eyes were grim. After she was warned by the clan, she decided to temporarily let Lu Mu Yan go and wait for the Enchanting clan to obtain the marrow cleansing pill first before killing her. But now looking at Yi Qing Han's attitude towards Lu Mu Yan, her heart was burning with jealousy. She just wanted to rush up and scratch open that gorgeous face of hers completely. Elder brother Mu Bai, Mu Yan. At this time, several people from the Ling clan also walked over from another direction. The leader was a red-haired young man and a gentlewoman in plain clothes. Fei Hao, Fei Li. A warm color flashed across Lu Mu Bai's eyes. Lu Mu Yan also smiled and addressed, elder cousin brother, elder cousin sister. The two of them were precisely the most promising of the younger generation in the Ling clan, Ling Fei Hao and Ling Fei Li. They were Lu Mu Yan's second uncle and third uncle's child respectively. They were 2 years older than her, and they treated her fairly nicely. Towards the rest that followed the two, Lu Mu Yan didn't have a strong impression. She supposed that they were the pupils of the Ling clan who just came to participate in the selection trial and wasn't from the main bloodline. Only when they saw Ling Fei Hao and Ling Fei Li greet Lu Mu Yan, did many talents of the 10 distinguished clans realize her identity. But they still wondered how Yi Qing Han and Lu Mu Yan met. The relationship between the two was obviously not shallow. I've long heard my maternal grandfather say that Mu Yan's terminal meridian's constitution had been eradicated. But it was unexpected that we'd meet in this trial. I hope we can participate in the continental tournament for hegemony together. Ling Fei Hao's sunny and energetic face revealed a lovely dimple. Ling Fei Li beside him glared at him, "Well, speak of these matters in private." This little boy spoke regardless of occasion. Didn't he see everyone's eyes were cast on them? Let's find a place to have a conversation first. Ling Fei Hao was just too excited to see the Lu brother and sister, so now that he had calmed down, he proposed. Lu Mu Bai nodded and smiled gently at the Yi clan's brother and sister, Mu Yan. You should accompany your friends and have chat. He could see that Yi Qing Han was looking for Lu Mu Yan for something. Although he didn't know how they met, but as long as the other party wasn't malicious, then it was fine. All right. I'll chat a little with Qing Han and Qing Lu. Eldest brother, you guys talk first. Then, Lu Mu Bai and the people from the Ling clan walked to a distant grassy area to sit and chat, while Lu Mu Yan's arm was wrapped around by Qing Les and was pulled under a large tree not far away. Yi Qing Han erected an elemental energy soundproof barrier. Seeing Yi Qing Han's hesitate in speaking, Lu Mu Yan understood. She took Qing Le's hand to take her pulse. Let me take a look at Qing Le's body first. Yi Qing Lu was plagued by years of disease, and this time, it was because she had taken a pill the clan's alchemist had refined that could temporarily suppress the fetal poison, that she could follow into the glacial mountain range. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. She had long heard from her elder brother and old Lu that Lu Mu Yan had excelling medical skills. Elder brother had even successfully advanced to the Sword King stage because he took the marrow cleansing pill that Lu Mu Yan gifted. So she had long wanted to see the woman they constantly spoke of. Sure enough, she didn't disappoint at first glance today. She had a good impression of this woman who was only a year older than herself. Now that Lu Mu Yan wanted to check her pulse for her illness, she relaxed her body and allowed her to check. After changing Yi Qing Le's hand and continued to check her pulse, Lu Mu Yan's brows furrowed together slightly. Then, after a while, she let go and fell into deep contemplation. Mu Yan, how is it? Can Qing Le's poison be cured? Seeing Lu Mu Yan furrow her brows, worry couldn't help but rise from Yi Qing Han's heart. Yi Qing Lu was more optimistic. Since she was a child, she knew that she might not live past 20 years old, so this time she begged the superiors in the clan to allow her to follow her elder brother to experience the outside world. Elder sister Mu Yan, I've been living with this chronic illness for years. If there's no solution, then it's also normal. Lu Mu Yan was just thinking deeply about how to cure Yi Qing Le's poison, yet who knew that it'd cause a misunderstanding from the two. She smiled back and said, although the fetal poison in your body is deep, but it hasn't corroded to the internal organs yet. As long as you cure it within a year, then it'll be fine. If we drag the time longer than a year, the fetal poison flowing in your blood will slowly corrode your internal organs, and by then it'll be more troublesome. Then you mean Qing Lu could still be saved now? A light burst from Yi Qing Han's eyes. Yi Qing Lu froze and a look of hope rose in her eyes as she stared at Lu Mu Yan, waiting for her answer. Although she had a cheerful and optimistic temperament, but every time the fetal poison erupted within her, she always had the urge to commit suicide. If it weren't for her family, then she would have long been unable to continue to live. Now, if there was a way to completely eradicate the poison from within her body, then it would be the best result for her and her family. Yes, she can be saved. But because the poison had already blended with her blood, it'll be a bit troublesome to deal with. I still need to refine an antidote pill to be used together with the golden needle treatment. Lu Mu Yan paused, then added, it's just that I think the treatment should be postponed until after this trial is over. Yi Qing Le's fetal poison wasn't difficult to solve, it was just troublesome to handle. During the treatment, it also required her to treat Yi Qing Lu with needles every day for a month. In the glacial mountain range, they would separate immediately to complete their own trials, so she couldn't be treated. No hurry. I've been like this for so many years, I don't care about waiting a little more. Yi Qing Lu was happy. She didn't expect that Lu Mu Yan really had a way to treat the fetal poison in her body. This made her feel a sense of hope that had never risen in her heart before. Yi Qing Han also revealed some excitement in his eyes. Everything's fine as long as it can be cured. Don't worry, I can cure this poison, I promise. Lu Mu Yan could deeply feel the pain of having a chronic illness. Judging from Yi Qing Le's fetal poison, she would have an outbreak of intolerable pain almost every 2 months. To be able to live until now and still maintain such an optimistic temperament, it meant that Yi Qing Lu was extremely tough. She admired such a girl very much. Mu Yan, a mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Yi Qinghan thought for a while and popped out this sincere sentence. Lu Muyen lowered her head and chuckled, then raised her head and looked at him jokingly. I still haven't treated Qinglu yet, your thanks is too early. I believe you. Yi Qinghan's handsome, sharp and angular face revealed unconditional trust. Since the time they went to the blazing mountain range together, an inexplicable feeling of trust grew in him towards this woman. Elder sister Mu Yen, I believe you too. Yi Qinglu smiled beautifully, with trust in her eyes. Lu Muyan's eyes were also dyed with a layer of deep warmth. She was very touched by this trust and was happy from the bottom of her heart. Random note, by the way, anyone reading on the novel website and giving all those 5-star reviews, if any one of you happen to be here, wow, thanks. I'm only the translator, but I guess I'm just genuinely happy to see others enjoying a novel I really love myself. And kudos for reading MTL, that's another world out there. Though I completely understand, if it were me and I really wanted to read a novel in another language I didn't understand, yeah, MTL might be the way. Anyways, it made me real happy to see so many people enjoy it even though I'm just translating it and it's not even my novel, huh? Chapter 82. The three men most difficult to approach. Yi Qinglu and Lu Muyen hit it off at first sight. They laughed and chatted for a while, and both felt as if they've met each other far too late. When Yi Qinghan was about to separate from Lu Muyen, he suddenly leaned close to her ear and whispered, the glacial mountain range hasn't been peaceful recently. Be careful when you complete your missions. If you meet people outside of Yanzhou Kingdom and the 10 distinguished clans, try your best to avoid them. Lu Muyen revealed confusion in her eyes, but didn't ask more, nodded and said, all right, you two take care too. Soon, the Yi clan's brother and sister returned to the place where the people of the Yi clan who participated in the trial gathered. Lu Muyen also went to where the Ling clan's people were and sat down. Mu Yen, you know the brother and sister of the Yi clan. Ling Fei Hao turned his eyes then asked curiously. Lu Muyen said with a smile, yep, we've had some interactions before. You can actually be so close to them, that's amazing. Ling Fei Hao raised a thumb up at Lu Muyen, then said in a whisper, those two siblings are famous for being watertight and they keep their distance from anyone. Especially Yi Qinghan, he's exceptionally difficult to befriend. There's such a thing. Lu Muyen remembered that when she first met Yi Qinghan, he definitely felt distant, but afterwards, when they went to the blazing mountain range, that sense of distance gradually faded, and they even became friends with a bit of tacit understanding. She had never felt that it was difficult to approach Yi Qinghan. Ling Fei Hao leaned towards Lu Muyen and said, there are 3 people who are considered the most difficult to approach in the 10 distinguished clans. Do you know which 3? Lu Muyen cooperated with Ling Fei Hao in amusement. I don't know, which 3? Yi Qinghan counts as one. She found that this elder cousin brother of hers was too lively and full of energy. Yep, Yi Qinghan counts as one, and there's 2 other people. Look over at the group of people sitting across from us. The expressionless man sitting on the very edge, wearing a black brocade robe, is the most highly valued genius of the clan ranked number 1 of the distinguished clans, the Shi clan's one Shi Feng. Ling Fei Hao gestured with his mouth, indicating to the opposite direction. Lu Muyen glanced over with her peripheral vision and found that the man named Shi Feng was leaning against a big tree alone with his eyes closed, without any expression on his face. But she felt a familiar feeling from him. He's an alchemist. Lu Muyen remembered that this familiar feeling originated from the scent of medicine that exuded from him, so she turned her head and asked Ling Fei how. She was exceptionally sensitive to smell. Earlier, when she passed by the area where the Shi clan was, she smelled a light medicinal scent that was from Shi Feng. Of course. The Shi clan is known for their alchemy across Tianling continent. Obviously he's an alchemist. Ling Fei Hao glanced towards Shi Feng and there was a touch of admiration in his eyes. He's now a grade 3 alchemist. 19 years old and already a grade 3 alchemist, isn't that amazing? He's known as the first person in the eastern region to have such high levels of mastery in alchemy in many years. Many alchemists have a weird temper, so it's normal if they're hard to interact with. Lu Muyan herself had interacted with many alchemists, so she naturally knew a bit about how some alchemists didn't like to deal with people. They spent all their time indulged in alchemy. The feeling that Shi Feng gave her was as such. This kind of indulgence was different to Hu Xiao's indulgence in smithing. She had seen people like Shi Feng before, and he should be one who truly loved the pleasure and accomplishment when spiritual herbs were successfully refined into pills. They pursued perfection and strived to refine the best pill as their lifelong goal. Ling Fei Hao pursed his lips and said, "It's not just because he's an alchemist, he's just got face paralysis too. His face is expressionless all year round. Basically no one's seen him show any excessive emotions." Lu Muyan smiled speechlessly, considering that to be her acquiescence, then asked, "And the last person?" "And the last person's the man in scarlet clothes sitting not far from your teacher. His name is Mu Yi and is the young lord of the Mu clan that's ranked third in the 10 distinguished clans. He's also a grade 3 smith. The most important thing is that he's already comprehended 3 different elemental energy attributes already. Although he's only at peak phase Sword King cultivation base, but it's said that he already has the strength to fight a sword monarch." Ling Fei Hao added. Lu Muyan raised her eyes and glanced in Mu Yi's direction. Coincidentally, their eyes met as he lifted his. The two looked at each other, then each retrieved their gazes. "That person seems to be smiling all the time. How did you judge that he's difficult to interact with?" "It's precisely because he's smiling all the time that he's hard to interact with. Because he's a smiling tiger who treats everyone with politeness, regardless of who it is. It's a different tune to Yi Qing Han's distance, but with the same results 3. Ling Fei Hao said as he raised an eyebrow. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Lu Muyan looked at him, amused. "Elder cousin brother, I realize you're really bored." "Pfft, Muyan, so you realized too. He just studies these boring things every day, and he doesn't listen to us no matter what we say." Ling Fei Li beside him couldn't help but laugh aloud. Ling Fei Hao huffed, "I'm just studying my opponents, you guys don't understand." Lu Muyan and Ling Fei Li exchanged a look and saw the smile in each other's eyes. However, she did obtain 2 pieces of information from Ling Fei Hao's short gossip, which could be considered a gain. The several people chatted about the Ling clan and the 10 distinguished clans, then the middle-aged man that was standing with Lan Si suddenly clapped his hands and said, "The trial members of the 10 distinguished clans will gather and set off in a quarter of an hour." Ling Fei Hao revealed a look of reluctance. They had only met for a little bit and now had to separate again. Lu Mubai patted his shoulder with a light smile. "Fei Hao, this time you need to bring glory to the Ling clan. Maybe we'll meet again within the later parts of the trial." "I will." Hearing Lu Mubei's words, Ling Fei Hao nodded solemnly. The current situation of the Ling clan wasn't really optimistic. He and Ling Fei Li were the main force of the Ling clan's trial this time, and they couldn't make the Ling clan lose face. Lu Muyan thought a bit, then took out a few packets of powdered drugs from her interspatial ring and stuffed them in their hands, saying, "These powdered drugs can deal with the demonic beasts and paralyze them for a few breaths. You can use these at critical times. This is the Elemental Energy Replenishing Pill 4, which can quickly replenish your elemental energy when you've depleted it." Then she handed 2 more bottles of elemental energy nourishing pills to the 2 as well. She believed that as the main targets of training in the 10 distinguished clans, they wouldn't lack pills with these types of effects. However, there's a shortage of alchemists on this continent, and pills were even scarcer. So presumably they wouldn't have a lot on them either. The people of the Ling clan all treated Lu Muyan very well, so this could be considered her returning the favor. Wow, Mu Yan, you actually have so many good things. Ling Fei Hao quickly put the things away and said with big smiles, your master really is nice to you. Although she saw that he had misunderstood, but Lu Mu Yan didn't explain, you just take good hold of it. After the trial ends, you'll go to the Ling clan to visit elder cousin brother Fei Yang. Speaking of Ling Fei Yang, the eyes of the people in the Ling clan unanimously displayed a bit of sadness. If Ling Fei Yang could also participate in the selection trial this time, they believed he definitely would be able to lead them to win a few more places for the competition. Don't be discouraged. Elder cousin brother Fei Yang will definitely get better. I believe he also hopes to see you all return successfully. Lu Mu Yan had confidence in curing Ling Fei Yang, but now wasn't a good time to say it. Seeing the few people a little dispirited, she squeezed her fists in encouragement. Mu Yan's right. We must do our best to win glory for the Ling clan. Ling Fei Li's delicate face revealed a gentle smile, then she looked at Lu Mu Yan and Lu Mu Bai, saying, you both be careful on your journey. I heard that the trial this time isn't that simple. Take care. You guys take care too. After separating from Ling Fei Hao and the others, Lu Mu Yan and Lu Mu Bai returned to where the students of Yanzhou Kingdom were. But before they could sit down, they saw Shi Feng walk over. He stood in front of Lu Mu Yan, looked at her expressionlessly and asked, you are Lu Mu Yan from the general's mansion of Yanzhou Kingdom? One author typed Feng clan here, but pretty sure it's a typo lol. Think there were at least another typo somewhere, but yeah. No wonder MTL gets even more mixed up sometimes hahaha. 2. It's a colloquial description in China and kind of makes fun of all those cool, cold, expressionless male leads that always appear in dramas lol. In particular used to refer to men who act cool and usually to make fun of them for pretending to act like that. 3. Pretty straightforward, but it is an idiom that translates literally to different tunes sung with equal skill aka different approaches but equally satisfactory results. For the same as spiritual energy replenishing pill. Probably an insignificant note, but yeah haha. Chapter 83, the start of the trial missions. Lu Mu Yan watched Shi Feng walk over, but she didn't expect that this person would talk to her. Although Shi Feng was expressionless, but she could feel that he wasn't hostile. She nodded calmly, I'm Lu Mu Yan. Something the matter? I heard that you have a pill called the marrow cleansing pill. Only when Shi Feng mentioned pills was there a slight fluctuation in his usually calm eyes. Lu Mu Yan's expression didn't change, yes, but I don't have any more now. Do you have the pill recipe for the marrow cleansing pill? I can exchange it with you for a high-level grade 3 pill recipe. This was the first time that Shi Feng ever mentioned wanting to make such a transaction with anyone. He was very excited when he heard about the efficacy of the marrow cleansing pill. The pill recipe of a pill that had such an effect, defying normalcy, was something no alchemist could refuse. He didn't know whether Lu Mu Yan would agree to his proposal or not, but he wanted to give it a try regardless. I don't. The pill recipe of the marrow cleansing pill is in my master's hands. Lu Mu Yan shrugged and expressed helplessness. Recently, many people desired her marrow cleansing pill, but Shi Feng seemed to only be interested in the pill recipe. If it were someone else, they might be tempted by the deal he proposed. After all, it wouldn't be a disadvantage to exchange a grade 2 pill recipe for a grade 3 high-level pill recipe. But in her head, there existed unique pill recipes that don't even exist on this continent, so how could she be tempted by Shi Feng's grade 3 pill recipe? Shi Feng appeared to have expected it, but he was still a little bit disappointed. He fell silent for a while, then said to Lu Mu Yan with a calm expression, if you want to trade in the future, you can come to the Shi clan to find me. All right. Lu Mu Yan didn't refuse either. Then excuse me. Shi Feng said politely before turning to leave. Lu Mu Yan quickly withdrew her gaze that was on him. This person sure was quite polite. After Sherfone left, she found an empty space and sat down, ignoring the gazes that were cast on her from all directions. She calmly took out a soft and delicious pastry from her interspatial ring to eat. A quarter of an hour later, the trial teams of the 10 distinguished clans quickly gathered and hurried to the boundary between the outer ring and the periphery of the glacial mountain range. Only the people of Yanzhou Kingdom who participated in the trial and the demonic beast corpses scattered around remained. Lan Si also returned to the team. He nipped a piece of tea pastry from Lu Mu Yen and sent it to his mouth, then said with a smile, "Lu Mu Yen, you made these yourself?" "Yeah, it's made with spiritual tea." Lu Mu Yen didn't know from where Lan Si could tell that the pastries were made by herself, but she didn't conceal it either. "It tastes pretty good." Lan Si took another piece and swallowed it. Lu Mu Yen guessed that he still had something to say, so she didn't respond, and just smiled faintly. "Aren't you going to break through? It's dangerous after we enter the boundary between the outer ring and the inner ring." Lan Si slowly took out a handkerchief and wiped the corners of his mouth and hands, then tossed it away casually. The handkerchief vanished with the wind without a trace. Lu Mu Yen pursed her lips, "Maybe, during our next rest." The spiritual energy had already reached its peak within her, and her cultivation base had already reached a bottleneck. It was only because it was inconvenient to immediately advance in the glacial mountain range, that's why she had been suppressing her cultivation base. Since Lan Si reminded her so kindly, then she had nothing to hide either. The corners of Lan Si's lips raised, and he didn't say any more. Only after resting for almost 2 hours and after feeling that the distance between them and the team ahead had lengthened, did he tell everyone to rise and keep going. While on the way, Lu Mu Yen saw that Yunlan wanted to talk to her, but was hesitating, so she said first, "Elder cousin brother has something to tell me." "It's nothing big, I just wanted to ask, you're very familiar with Yi Qing Han?" "Yeah, we can be considered friends." Lu Mu Yen nodded with a smile. Yunlan fell silent for a while, then said, "Then, Mu Yen, can you help me arrange a battle hymn to exchange pointers?" "Elder cousin brother, why do you insist on exchanging pointers with Yi Qing Han?" Lu Mu Yen had always been curious as to why Yunlan wanted to chase after Yi Qing Han so persistently. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, his skill attributes are the same as mine. Every time I finish fighting with him, I'll always have some comprehensions. It just so happens that my current sword skill is at a bottleneck. Yunlan explained. He wasn't that familiar with Yi Qing Han, and it was only accidental that they fought twice before. If he went to arrange a battle with Yi Qing Han, he feared that he would misunderstand, so he wanted to ask Lu Mu Yen for help. Lu Mu Yen smiled in understanding now and said, "So it's like that. Then after the trial, I'll help you ask him." Either way, after the trial's over, she needed to go to the Yi clan for a month, so it was fine to take an extra person. Yi Qing Han presumably wouldn't reject either. Alright, then I'll trouble Mu Yen. Along the way, they encountered countless attacks from demonic beasts, and even a few Tier 4 demonic beasts that lead groups, but they were all avoided. Of course, the effect of Lu Mu Yan's powdered drug took half the credit. They hurried on with their journey while killing demonic beasts, and 7 days passed. The group of talents arrived at the border between the forest and icy mountains. Lan Si and the other instructors took them to a place at the foot of the icy mountains. There sat a wooden hut, and after entering, a warm current spread towards them. In the middle of the wooden hut, there was a stove, and above the stove rose wisps of steam. There was also a kettle atop of it, and a white-haired old man sat before it, Yunsang. "You're all here. Take a seat." Yunsang raised his eyes and nodded to everyone. Lan Si and the few instructors sat down, then the students all found a random spot to sit. "Lu girl, I heard that you have quite good tea-making skills. Come and make a pot." Lu Mu Yen lowered her eyes, pulled Lu Mu by together to sit beside Yun Sang, then said, "Yes." Yun Sang smiled, took out a box of spiritual tea from his interspatial ring and handed it to Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen took the spiritual tea, and as soon as she opened the lid, a rich and fragrant smell wafted to her nose. She took a few spoonsful out and started to brew tea. As expected from the imperial teacher of Yanzhou Kingdom, the quality of this spiritual tea was much better than the quality of the tea she obtained from shopkeeper Lu. Lu Mu Yan's actions that were like moving clouds and flowing water were very pleasing to the eye. Then she listened to Yun Sang's order and poured everyone a cup. Yun Sang's value of Lu Mu Yan and his different attitude towards her made most of the other students astounded, and they all reassessed Lu Mu Yan in their hearts. Yun Sang took a sip from his teacup and his eyes revealed some satisfaction, then said rather slowly towards everyone, "Starting today, your trial truly begins. Your first mission. Within 5 days, each of you must go out and kill at least 10 Tier 5 demonic beasts and come back. You can team up to complete the mission, or you can snatch it from other people, but you aren't allowed to kill each other. After 5 days, come here to meet us. If you don't reach the number, you will be eliminated automatically. Then a small team from the Imperial family will escort the eliminated people back to the Imperial capital." "Yes, Imperial teacher." Hearing the first task issued, every student participating in the trial here were all feeling ambitious and fervent. "By the way, you need to complete this operation alone or in any team. The instructors will no longer accompany you throughout, so pay attention to your own safety. If you die here, then everything will be over for you. I hope that you will all stay alive." Yun Sang drank all the tea in the cup and with a serious expression, "Rest for a night, and you'll leave early tomorrow morning. Whether you complete the mission or not, 5 days later, before this time, report back. We will follow the instructions of the Imperial teacher." Chapter 84, Spiritual Force Body Tempering. After everyone scattered, Lu Mu Yan greeted Lu Mu Bai before walking to sit cross-legged atop a large tree with dense foliage not far from the wooden house. She closed her eyes and the spiritual energy within her body performed a few macrocosmic orbits, placing her whole body and mind in a free and empty state. One night was enough for her to advance. Streams of spiritual force came from all directions and quickly entered her body. A faint green force encircled her dantian, full of vitality. Above her head, in the sky, clusters of spiritual clouds gathered, and lightning bolts descended from the spiritual clouds, striking each of Lu Mu Yan's meridians. The spiritual force continuously tempered her body. Dazzling lights like colored glaze shone down on her through the dense leaves, making the gorgeous, white-clothed young girl appear as if a stunning celestial that had descended, rippling and light and enigmatic as if behind a layer of mist. And this sight naturally stirred everyone who was resting within the wooden hut. They leapt out of the house, looked in Lu Mu Yan's direction, and were completely stunned. This is spiritual force body tempering. A student stammered out. Isn't Lu Mu Yan's talent a bit too strong? She's only advancing but can actually attract spiritual force body tempering. Isn't it that only the legendary constitution can cause such an anomalous phenomenon of heaven and earth? A member of the Imperial family said in disbelief. She doesn't have a special or rare constitution, but it's said that people with the terminal meridian's constitution are actually extremely talented and heaven-defying. It's just that it's been stopped by their terminal meridians. So after eradicating the terminal meridian's constitution, her talents and aptitudes are gradually revealed. This truly is the so-called interdependence of blessings and misfortunes. The Lu Mu Yan, after eradicating the terminal meridian's constitution, compared to the trash from before, are like two different people. Shit, the students were discussing constantly, and they all sighed with mixed emotions at Lu Mu Yan's good fortune. Yun Sang, Lan Si, and Yun Ji were also standing outside the hut, looking at the anomalous phenomena occurring at that large tree. Every time a spiritual cloud scattered, there would be even more that floated over. It was as if the white-clothed woman shrouded in a colorful glaze had a dantian that was a bottomless pit, incessantly absorbing the spiritual force of heaven and earth. Its speed was truly breathtaking. Imperial teacher, Lu Mu Yen really doesn't have the heavenly spiritual body. Yunji looked at Yunsong in confusion, asking. He had never seen anyone who could attract the spiritual force body tempering anomalous phenomenon when they were advancing. Such an anomalous phenomenon was only a legendary existence, yet he didn't expect to see it today occurring on the infamous trash of the Empire. Yunsong's gaze was deep, and with a rare smile on his face, he sighed. She does indeed not have the heavenly spiritual body, but she has excelling talent that is no less than a heavenly spiritual body. The future of this girl is immeasurable. Then, Yunsong looked at Lan Si with a serious expression and ordered, no accident can occur to Lu Mu Yen during this trial. Whether it was the master behind Lu Mu Yen, or the excelling cultivation and alchemy talents that she displayed, it all decided that she would be an extraordinary person in the future. The Empire could not lose such a talent. I will protect her secretly. Lan Si nodded, but all the missions in the trial need to be completed by herself, so I will not take action until a life-or-death moment. That is only of course. If she can't even pass such a trial, then it would be a waste of her good aptitude. A sharp glint flashed in Yunsong's eyes. I just have a feeling that she can win a trial quota this time. I hope so. The gaze that Lan Si cast towards Lu Mu Yen revealed a hint of extreme interest. After a few hours, Lu Mu Yan's spiritual energy soared. She opened her tightly shut eyes and formed a few hand seals before her. The few spiritual clouds that remained in the sky were absorbed by her, and the layer of thin film that blocked her advancement in her dantian was broken by the flooding of elemental energy. Wang! A huge amount of spiritual energy poured into her dantian, and the light green mist expanded in size. Only after performing a few cosmic orbits in her body was Lu Mu Yan's advancement complete. Feeling the abundant and deep spiritual energy within her, a confident smile rose on her lips. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Although she was only at a sword spirit cultivation base, but the spiritual energy in her body wasn't inferior to that of an initial phase Sword King Sword Master. Now she had another layer of guarantee for the upcoming trial mission. Then Lu Mu Yen finished and glanced in the direction of the wooden hut with furrowed brows. There, countless pairs of eyes were staring at her, transfixed, making her feel very helpless. After eradicating her terminal meridian's constitution, her potential talent was even better than those pampered children with special constitutions. And because of her unique flesh refining manual, every time she advanced, she would attract the anomalous phenomena of heaven and earth where spiritual clouds would send lightning to temper her body. She suddenly felt a headache because the scene of her advancement was too big. She didn't like being watched and liked to cause trouble even less. But as long as she could refine the foundation establishment pill and take it, after successfully establishing her foundation, she could create a site where it would conceal and isolate the anomalous phenomena of heaven and earth during advancement from the outside world. She ignored the gazes of those people. Right now, she was bound to be questioned if she walked over, so she continued to sit on the tree and close her eyes to rest. It wasn't until when the time came for the mission to start did Lu Mu Yen jump off the branch and leave with Lu Mu Bai and the rest. After separating from the other trial students, Yunlan took out a beast skin map and carefully checked it. Alan, you actually have a map of the outer ring and inner ring of the glacial mountain range. Xiao Xiang looked at the beast skin map and said in surprise. Yunlan looked at the beast skin map carefully, then explained, "This is from my master." After hearing that it was given by Yunlan's master, Xiao Xiang said excitedly with a smile, "Then are there marked locations for the Tier 5 demonic beasts we need to find?" Yunlan's master was Tatsword's sovereign expert of the empire that was currently in closed-door cultivation, and also Yanzhou Kingdom's strongest sword master. It was also because of his support that Yanzhou Kingdom wasn't completely reduced to the ranks of a small country. Yep, there are rough coordinates. Yunlan said to them after confirming a few points on the map, "There's a Tier 5 ice ape to the east of the mountain and it's also the closest place to us. Let's go there for the mission first." Alright. Their little team consisted of Yunlan, Yunjin, Xiaoxiang, Yunluo, Qi Yi Xian and the two siblings of the Lu clan. Their strengths were relatively prominent among the trial teams. With Yunlan's map, the efficiency would be improved a lot, so it wouldn't be difficult for them to complete the missions. It saved time and trouble. 5 days was enough. Elder cousin brother, are there marked locations of spiritual herbs? Lu Muyen asked in a whisper when she walked beside Yunlan. Yunlan nodded, yes, but not complete. There's only markings for spiritual herbs that are being protected by demonic beasts. Can I take a look? Lu Muyan's eyes lit up like stars. A spiritual herb like the deep orchid would definitely be guarded by a demonic beast. Yunlan smiled, took out the beastskin map from his chest area 1 and handed it to Lu Muyen. Then he pointed to a few places where only one word was written, saying, "These are the places." There's the word orchid too here, does it represent the deep orchid? Lu Muyen stared at the place marked on the map with the word orchid as her heart skipped a beat. Yes, the deep orchid can only be found in the glacial mountain range. It's extremely rare and precious. According to my master's notes, the demonic beast guarding it is a peak phase Tier 5 Cold Mist Jiao 3. It's also the king of the northwest area. Yunlan was very familiar with the things marked on the map. His master had explained it all to him one by one before coming. Lu Muyen pointed to a few other markings and asked at random, but she noted down the deep orchid's direction and location in her heart. One probably an unnecessary explanation, but you know how in ancient China, people wore robe-like clothes. Love them BTW, they're so pretty. Anyways, obviously you wrap one side of the robe over the other side to wear it, so there's a slit there to put things. Often in Chinese dramas you'd see them take things out from their chest area. Women are often seen taking things out from their sleeves. 2. The actual character is from, which is deep orchid. 3. Okay, based on my many years of reading Chinese novels, the word used here to describe the animal means a being that is more than a snake but less than a dragon. I did a brief Google and Baidu search and it came up with amongst some other answers which is translated as a flood dragon. Are thought to be beings that are related to water only. A can eventually evolve to become a true dragon, however. There's no real English translation except dragon, but it's not quite. So I'm leaving it as it is, haha. Chapter 85. How Violet Lu Muyen and her party quickly arrived at the Ice Ape's cave marked on the map. Sure enough, they felt 3 Tier 5 demonic beast auras in the depths of the cave. Outside the cave, groups of low-level ice apes were walking back and forth. Yunlan made a gesture to the others with his hands, took out a long sword, then cut through the air. The others also took out their spirit treasures one by one to sweep through the low-level ice apes outside, and in only a short while, they made their way deep into the cave. Roar! Their fight also attracted the attention of the 3 Ice Ape Kings deep in the cave that rushed out, beating their chests. Lu Muyen looked at one of the Ice Ape Kings that was more than 3 meters high, and fighting spirit rose in her eyes. After the spiritual force body tempering and advancing to a sword spirit, her bodhi's toughness also rose a level, and the flesh refining technique rose a layer too. This initial phase Tier 5 demonic beast was the perfect opponent for to practice against right now. Leave that shortest one to me. Lu Muyen said as she rolled her fists. Xiaoxiang rolled his eyes at her and said, "That's a Tier 5 demonic beast. Even if you did advance to sword spirit, you don't need to be so wild and arrogant, right?" Lu Muyen glanced at him lightly, "It's not like I'm an idiot like you." After speaking, she didn't wait for anyone else to say anything, and with a flash, she just raised her fist and charged over. She leapt up and with bare hands, directly greeting the ice ape that charged towards her. Boom boom. The two collided. The ice ape stumbled back a few steps, while Lu Mu Yen was directly slammed into the wall opposite, shaking down a lot of rubble. However, her face not only didn't have the slightest discoloration, but instead, her fighting spirit grew more and more intense. Her exquisite and gorgeous face was dyed with a layer of faint red, then with a leap, she once again, in mid-air, punched towards the ice ape. The ice ape king had already developed intelligence, so it was completely angered by such provocation from a human that was one stage lower than itself. It beat its chest and roared a few times, then similarly clenched its hands to greet that tender fist. Bang! The two fists met, but neither side was jolted back this time. They continued to fight using the most primitive physical combat method, throwing punches at each other one by one. Is Lu Mu Yen still a woman? Xiao Xiang watched that petite and delicate woman collide and bombard that tall, thick ice ape, completely stupefied. And yet she wasn't at a disadvantage at all. The traces of wildness, arrogance, and that domineering manner she revealed completely startled him. Yun Jin couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. He stood beside Xiao Xiang with folded arms as his eyes revealed some interest. How violent. But I like it. Xiao Xiang held his forehead. Were there still any normal people around? He glanced around. Yun Lan and Yun Luo were practicing against one, Lu Mu Bai faced another alone, Qi Yi Xian was cleaning up the few low-level ice apes that they had missed, and Lu Mu Yen was just currently fighting gleefully. He couldn't help but poke Yun Jin's arm and said, "Is it really fine for us to just stand here and watch the fight? What's wrong with that? Those who have the abilities do more work. Just let them fight first." Their hands were itching for a long time. Yun Jin raised an eyebrow indifferently. Even if we want to intervene, there's nowhere to be of use right now, so just watch. Xiao Xiang also realized that Yun Jin's words were reasonable, so he shrugged and continued to watch the battle. From time to time, he would even nitpick Lu Mu Yan's fight, but he couldn't help but feel admiration towards her rise within him. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the fight developed into a completely one-sided battle. Lu Mu Bai easily beheaded the ice ape king he battled, while Yun Lan and Yun Luo also killed the other ice ape without using their full strength. Seeing that the other people's battles were already over, Lu Mu Yen didn't delay any more time either. She took 2 steps back, moved her fingers, and one immediately saw thin red threads of elemental energy condensation reveal itself from the ice ape's thin fur, displayed in an octagonal shape. This was the fire elemental energy array that she quietly buried on the ice ape's body every time her body physically clashed with the ice ape's. If she wanted to kill her opponent with her physical strength alone, she still couldn't do it for the time being. Of course, if she could do another spiritual force body tempering, then she could do it. Lu Mu Yen murmured a few phrases and activated the fire elemental energy in the array. The octagonal-shaped red threads began to move quickly and gradually tightened. A moment later, the red thread firmly bound the limbs of the ice ape, trapping it in place for the time being. At the same time, the eye of the array lit up brightly in red, transforming into streams of light that shot out directly towards the center of the ice ape's eyebrows. The ice ape wailed, then its huge body fell heavily to the ground, without a single breath remaining. The few people that were originally merely standing, watching her fight were now all stunned. When did she arrange this trick? They didn't notice it at all. They only knew the constant bombardment of bodies between her and the ice ape, but they didn't expect that she had long planted a second means to win. Mu Yen, what was the matter with that trick you just used? Elemental energy condensation is really this powerful? Yun Jin watched Lu Mu Yan's battle from start to finish but didn't notice that she used elemental energy condensation. The elemental energy condensation of a sword skill was what made the Yi clan famous, but it didn't have such potent, silent, and obscure powers. Lu Mu Yen collected her spoils, and didn't conceal either. This is an array formed by elemental energy condensation. Those thin red threads had long destroyed the meridians in the limbs of that ice ape. When I decide to kill it, it can also play a restraining role. She was most famous in the spirit world not for her alchemy skills, but for her arrays. She had thoroughly researched all types of arrays and were highly adept in them. If her strength allowed her, she could even personally arrange a few ancient great arrays. Even if a sword sovereign expert entered, she could promise that they wouldn't be able to axe it. Although at the cultivation base of a great sword master, she could condense the elemental energy within their body, but it wasn't that powerful. However, after entering the sword spirit stage, she could use many different skills. An elemental energy array could also be quietly assembled, making one hard to defend against it. It made fights a lot easier. Except she was currently cultivating the cultivation skills of the immortal cultivation world, so advancing in the levels of a sword master just couldn't allow her to use certain talents. Only when she established her foundation, formed a core, formed a nascent soul and so forth, like in her previous life, could she exhibit her strengths. Aren't arrays only able to be arranged with array flags and array tools? Yun Luo asked in surprise. Most arrays do require array flags and array tools, but they can also be constructed with elemental energy. But not everyone can use elemental energy to build an array. Lu Mu Yen stretched out her hand and a red, octagonal elemental energy array was easily constructed by her. She continued, building an array with elemental energy not only requires one to do three things at once, but also requires the talent to enter a free and empty state at any time, and make a sketch of the array in their heart. The heart array was a secret manual that had long been lost in the ancient times. She only knew it because she accidentally discovered it in an ancient cultivator's cave. In the immortal cultivation world, there wouldn't be more than 10 people that could use spiritual energy to build an array. In a place like Tianling continent where everything was lacking, it was probably even more impossible to find a second person who could use the heart array. After listening to Lu Mu Yan's explanation, Yun Luo and the rest were all speechless. In the end, wasn't it that it required talent to be able to do it? They sure didn't have the ability to achieve a free and empty state of mind at any time, nor do three things at once. Lu Mu Yen was just specifically attacking them now. It only took a few months for her to advance from an advanced phase sword novice to a sword spirit. This sort of speed really made them, who were the so-called geniuses, yet used more than a decade, feel ashamed. She also only used the cultivation base of a sword spirit to defeat a tier 5 ice ape that was equivalent to an initial phase sword king strength, and not only used elemental energy condensation, but could also use elemental energy to build an array to kill her opponent. These methods had never been heard of before. She slowly revealed to them the edges of her talents, but every time they thought that her strength and the means she displayed had already exceeded their imagination, she could attack them again with reality. After hunting the Tier 5 ice apes, the group followed the closest path on the marked map and swept up and beheaded the Tier 5 demonic beasts required for the mission. 3 days later, on a glacial plain, green trees were dotted among the vast expanse of white, and a group of cold vultures flew on the clearing around the trees. When Yunzi Mo and 2 other teams of students rushed to the ice field, wanting to kill the Tier 5 cold vultures that they received information of, they saw a large group of cold vultures currently fighting a few people. Among the few people led by Lu Mu Bai, 2 of them cleaned the low-level cold vulture on the periphery, while 4 of them faced 4 Tier 5 cold vulture kings among the cold vultures. And the white-clothed woman currently in battle with a Tier 5 cold vulture king unexpectedly stunned them. She was agile and fast, sped swiftly beneath the wings of the demonic beast, blasted and slammed with her fists covered in elemental energy, used her body to fight head-to-head with the Tier 5 cold vulture king, and yet she wasn't at all at a disadvantage. Sword masters were more adept in long-range combats because their bodice toughness couldn't be compared to a demonic beast's, so they were weak in close-quarters combat. But Lu Mu Yen personally let them realize that the body of a human sword master could also be as strong and tough as a demonic beast. That's Lu Mu Yen. Ji Han Su, who stood beside Yun Zi Mo, didn't conceal the shock in his eyes. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, had absolutely never believed that Lu Mu Yan's body was so tough. Yun Zi Mo's cold eyes deepened. She should have practiced a flesh-refining skill. But to be able to combat a Tier 5 demonic beast with the cultivation base of a sword spirit master, and still appear to be winning, she indeed has her own strengths. The body of a human sword master, compared to a demonic beast, was extremely fragile. A sword master once developed a flesh-refining skill to make up for this shortcoming, but unfortunately, these sorts of skills were not only rare to find, but it also wasn't suitable for everyone to cultivate. He guessed that Lu Mu Yen probably obtained a flesh-refining manual and trained in it successfully. Otherwise it'd be impossible to have the ability and physical quality to fight against demonic beasts directly. Could it be the effect of the marrow cleansing pill? A fiery light flashed across Ji Han Zu's eyes. Yun Zi Mo pondered for a bit before disagreeing. Even the most heaven-defying pill couldn't cleanse the marrow wonderfy in the body. The strength she displayed doesn't seem to be improved because she took a pill. But it's undeniable that the marrow cleansing pill indeed turned the famous waste of the Imperial capital into a genius who's not at all inferior to you now. Ji Han Su held a firm belief in the efficacy of the marrow cleansing pill. Recently, the Ji clan was also secretly negotiating with the Lu clan, only hoping to successfully obtain the marrow cleansing pill. Yun Zi Mo's eyes displayed a look of disagreement, but he didn't say more. Presumably, there were a lot of people that thought of Lu Mu Yen in that way, but he guessed that it was actually because this woman hid her talents well. He firmly believed that it was simply impossible for a person to change so drastically due to the effects of a pill alone. After eradicating the terminal meridian's constitution, two of the most important factors that Lu Mu Yen relied on to achieve what she did, definitely must be her own extraordinary talents and own efforts. The jealousy in Yun Ge's eyes were inadvertently revealed and was quickly caught by Qi Luxiang, who stood not far away. She lowered her eyes to cover up the changing emotions in her eyes and thought, this time, she'd definitely not allow Lu Mu Yen to return, and would help the Gu clan get rid of this huge nuisance and trouble. The fight remained one-sided. After Lu Mu Yen sweat to her heart's content, and her body and mind were refreshed, she arranged an elemental energy killing array to trap the Cold Vulture King. The Cold Vulture King was unwilling to reveal weakness. It was trapped, but it gathered all its demonic energy on its sharp beak, raised its head, then lowered it, pecking towards the weakest part of Lu Mu Yan's head. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yan's eyes grew cold. A layer of glaze-like jade color enveloped her hand. She quickly backed away a few steps, then leapt forward, and her right fist that carried boundless elemental energy was directly inserted into the area where the crystal core resided, wrenching it right out. Gaw! The Cold Vulture King's eyes bulged, and its breath stopped abruptly in its last call. After putting away the Cold Vulture King's corpse, Lu Mu Yen walked to Yunlan and the other side, and said with a smile, "Mission complete. Lu Mu Yen, you little monster. You completed your first trial mission in only 3 days." Xiao Ziong pursed his lips and said, unreconciled. Except there was a smile of admiration in his eyes. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow, stretched out her hand and patted his shoulder. Then her eyes curved into a crescent shape as she smiled, "Brother, I've got to remind you that you've still got 7 demonic beasts left to complete the mission, but there's only 2 days left." The corner of Xiao Ziong's mouth twitched. This was precisely a caustic friend that was here just to take a jab at his heart. The others couldn't help but smile. Then seeing the people on the opposite side walk towards them, Yunlan's eyes deepened, and he greeted Yun Zi Mo, young royal uncle. Yun Zi Mo's cold eyes didn't reveal much emotion. He nodded and asked, "Have you all completed your missions?" "We're almost done." Yunlan turned the conversation on its head and asked with a smile, I suppose that young royal uncle must have completed your trial missions, right? Not yet. There's still 3 more left until completion. Yun Mo answered indifferently. I say Yunlan, aren't you all a bit unkind? Ji Han-su stepped forward and with a smile, as if joking, said, you guys always intercept and kill the tier 5 demonic beasts. You should at least leave some soup for us brothers when you're eating the meat. Xiao Ziang still remembered how Ji Han-su acted against Lu Mubai for Yungu earlier, so he said, well, who told you guys to always be slower than us? Even I haven't had any soup, so don't you guys count on having any either. Oh, isn't this alchemist Xiao? You still need to drink soup. With your identity as an alchemist, you can just beckon and call, and wouldn't there be a lot of sword masters who will come and hack through brambles and thorns and sweep a bunch of tier 5 demonic beasts for you? A young man beside Ji Han-su who wore fine and splendid robes sneered, with ridicule in his voice. Xiao Ziang choked. He did indeed have some power to rally helpers back in the imperial capital because of his identity as an alchemist, but during the trial in the glacial mountain range, everyone was a child favored by the heavens. So who would help him sweep up tier 5 demonic beasts for a few pills? The anger in his heart rose steadily. The young man across from him who spoke was also his enemy in the imperial capital, so to be ridiculed like this, he truly couldn't swallow the anger. Just when he was about to resolve this using force, his arm was pulled by Lu Muyen. Alchemist Xiao, this miss is willing to hack through brambles and thorns to sweep up a bunch of tier 5 demonic beasts for you. Lu Muyen's eyes curved as they carried a brightness and continued, let alone drinking soup, let's not even leave a single demonic beast fur for these eyesores. All right. Xiao Ziang felt the warmth from his arms, and his heart also warmed up. Lu Muyen truly was loyal. Lu Muyen, who are you saying is an eyesore? That young man who had ridiculed Xiao Ziang glared at her furiously. Lu Muyen retracted her hand on Xiao Ziang's arm, picked up a strand of hair on her shoulder to play with, then raised her eyes carelessly, saying, of course it's whoever answers is the eyesore. This person was Gu Yanran's admirer. He hadn't ridiculed and bullied her any less when they met before, and now he was mocking Xiao Ziang. Lu Muyen's lips curled up into a cold arc. Want to complete the mission to kill tier 5 demonic beasts. Humph, with her here, this person could dream on. Chapter 87. Prepared to prank. Hearing Lu Muyen's arrogant words, the people around the young boy frowned unconsciously. Lu Muyen, don't think that you're amazing just because you're able to kill a tier 5 demonic beast, and you even want to not leave a single demonic beast fur for us. If you really have that ability, then show it to us, why only talk about it? Yunko looked unhappy, then mocked, let's take a bet to see just who will lose. Lu Muyen's aunt in the Imperial Palace, as the Empress, already suppressed her concubine mother. Who expected that now the Lu clan's little trash's strength also suppressed her? With new grudges and old grudges, it made Yungu feel exceptional disgust towards Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen chuckled and raised an eyebrow, that's what you said. Was this stupid woman really an elite raised by the imperial family? She not only wasn't astute nor subtle, but also got angry immediately when provoked. Lu Muyen couldn't help but cast a sympathetic glance at Ji Han-su. With such a pig teammate one as his betrothed, Ji Han-su's entire life would definitely never be boring. In fact, she didn't know that Yunge's concubine mother was given the cold shoulder by Yun Tianqin because she once acted arrogantly towards the Empress and didn't give her any face, relying on the fact that she was highly favored by the Emperor. As Yunge's talent was pretty good, she was sent to cultivate in the Imperial family's secret grounds. Plus, she was the princess of the Imperial family, so many people were willing to sell her some favors, and from a young age, she was also very distant from the complexities of the Imperial palace and hadn't interacted with a lot of secrets. That's why it raised her to be such a simplistic, stupid, and self-centered person. Ji Han-soo naturally caught Lu Mu-yan's blatant sympathetic gaze and he couldn't help but hold his forehead. He was actually being sympathized and gloated by the once most famous trash of the Imperial capital. But looking at his betrothed's disdainful, nasty face, he couldn't help but want to wipe some tears of sympathy for himself as well. He couldn't help but assist Yoon-gu last time because of their relationship, but now she was acting stupid again. He really didn't have the heart to care about it anymore. After returning, he must properly mention it to the superiors of the clan. It was best to annul this engagement. Lu Mu-yen, who can't talk big. Then we'll wait and see how you keep us from not even being able to touch demonic beast fur. The young man sneered and said with extreme disdain. Lu Mu-yen gave the two a like in her heart too, they sure knew exactly what to do. After completing the mission, the 2 days left would be filled with idleness and boredom. Since it didn't really occur often that an opportunity to prank would arrive at the door by itself, she'd play with them a bit then. All right. You two just prepare to pack your bags and return to the Imperial capital after 2 days then. Lu Mu-yen smiled devilishly and the arrogance in her eyes was undisguised. Humph, what big talk. Just wait and see. Yoon-gu also couldn't help but snort, turned around and dragged Ji Han-soo with the rest, leaving the ice field. She wanted to find Tier 5 demonic beasts before Lu Mu-yen and the others and let that woman lose face entirely. The people from the other small team glanced at each other and followed. They were all sword spirit strengths, so if they wanted to successfully complete the task, they had to rely on Ji Han-soo. Yun Zi-mo's obsidian-like eyes were encircled with a layer of unidentifiable light. He took a deep look at Lu Mu-yen, addressed Yunlan, then turned to leave. However, his route was the opposite of Yoon-gu's group. He had a feeling that if he followed Yoon-gu, his mission would be difficult to complete. After all the people who had intruded left, worry rose in Xiao Xiang's eyes. Lu Mu-yen, even if you want to help me retaliate against them, you didn't need to boast so wildly, right? If you let them kill a Tier 5 demonic beast, then we'd both lose our faces terribly. Although he said this, he didn't have any intent on blaming her. On the contrary, there was an unprecedented excitement in his heart, as if he was going to do something amazingly terribly bad with Lu Mu-yen. He didn't know why, but when it came to Lu Mu-yen's words, he actually felt a sense of unquestioning belief. He really was spending a bit too much time with this violent woman. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu-yen looked at him askance as if he were an idiot. You're the only one that'll lose face, it's got nothing to do with me. After a pause, she added, let's go quickly. Don't always think about playing dirty tricks, you still have to kill 7 Tier 5 demonic beasts to complete the mission. Xiao Xiang's forehead was full of creases. Was it impossible to speak nicely now? It was obvious that she wanted to play dirty tricks to prank people, so what did it have to do with him? Not to mention, could she not always mention the 7 demonic beasts situation and poke his sore spots? You guys that have finished the mission, will you be going back first, or follow us to prank people? A naughty smile rose on Lu Mu-yen's lips. Lu Mu-yen made it no secret that she was not a virtuous maiden, and she definitely wasn't a good person. But such a straightforward temperament just so happened to be something the others appreciated. Since Mu-yen is so confident, we naturally have to go and join in on the fun. Yunlan revealed a light smile, and he couldn't help but feel that his heart was dyed with a layer of joy as he looked at the woman in front of him with her bright eyes, lively and adorable. Yun-jin loved to watch the excitement, so he blinked at Lu Mu-yen playfully and said with a smile, they can't touch demonic beast fur, but me, Xiang and Yixian's mission demonic beasts should be fine, right? He and Xiao Xiang's strength was at the bottom of the group, so they still had to kill 4 Tier 5 demonic beasts to complete the mission. Qi Yixian still had 2 more, while the others had all completed their missions. Naturally. At the same time as making trouble, it's also for you guys to quickly complete your missions. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at Yunjin. He could even ask such a stupid question. Sure enough, after spending a long time with Xiao Xiang, his IQ was also dragged down. Lu Mu Yen, you're sure loyal. When we return to the Imperial capital, your brother will look after you. Xiao Xiang wanted to reach out to hang his arm around Lu Mu Yan's shoulder to express that they were good brothers, but was deliberately blocked by Qi Yi Xian. Let's go to and find the Tier 5 demonic beasts before them. Qi Yi Xian said deeply. He felt very uncomfortable right now. He was delightedly surprised that Lu Mu Yen once again shocked and amazed him, and kept attracting his gaze, making his heart beat uncontrollably. But at the same time, he also hoped to hide her deeply so that she couldn't be coveted by other men. The Tier 5 demonic beasts marked on Yunlan's map had basically been cleaned up by them, and the few that were left were rather far away. Xiao Xiang couldn't help but ask again, while walking, how do we find Tier 5 demonic beasts without a map? Follow Yungu and the others. Then he immediately knocked his head and laughed, saying, that's right. We can follow them. The moment we encounter a Tier 5 demonic beast, we can just rush over and kill it first. Do you think Ji Han's Sword King cultivation base is just an accessory? Lu Mu Yen looked at Xiao Xiang wordlessly. Besides, what we want to do is play tricks on them, so naturally they need to personally watch how we don't leave a single fur for them. Do you think it's possible to do that if we try to snatch and kill the demonic beast after following them? Then what should we do? You must have some idea, right? Xiao Xiang saw the brilliance in Lu Mu Yan's eyes and knew immediately that this woman was plotting again. Luckily he wasn't her enemy, otherwise he really would be played to death. Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow and smiled in a dominating manner, that's only natural. Not only do I want them to be eliminated in the first mission, but I also want them to personally witness how we put all the mission items into our own pockets. Seeing her confident, gorgeous smile, all of them unanimously lit a candle 3 in their hearts for those who offended Lu Mu Yan. One common colloquial saying meaning they teammates not only useless but causes trouble for others. 2 more colloquial sayings, this time is basically like how we say we liked a Facebook post or other social media posts. Pretty modern word, but you know, it's a web novel. 3 lighting candles is usually done for the dead, or to pray and or bless someone, but in this case lighting candles is used to pray for them, hoping they don't die too badly since Lu Mu Yen really is going to prank them hard. They're pitying them for what they'll go through, haha. Chapter 88. Lu Mu Yen playing dirty tricks. As they hurried along their journey, Lu Mu Yen released Mo Yen, who was cultivating in the spirit pet bangle. For that boring bet, you actually bother me when I'm cultivating. Mo Yan's indifferent eyes displayed a bit of displeasure. Although he didn't like to stay in the spirit pet bangle, but he could only endure it in order to not waste a single moment cultivating. Yet who knew that this woman would bother him for such trivial matters? Lu Mu Yen held Mo Yen in her arms and poked him on the back, telepathically saying, do you still want that pill refined from a Tier 5 crystal core? If you don't work hard, you want to take it for nothing. Then she said twaddled on, don't you know this is also because I want to help you collect more crystal cores to refine into pills. Since you don't cherish it, then go back to your spirit pet bangle and continue to cultivate. Mo Yen took a deep breath. This woman really was good. There's a Tier 5 snow leopard 500 meters ahead of that group of people. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were full of smiles, and she continued poking at the soft and warm little beast in her arms. Now that's right, being tactful is the solid principle. Mo Yen didn't bother to talk to her anymore. After pointing the way, he just let Lu Mu Yen hold him as he closed his eyes to rest. With Mo Yan's precise instructions, Lu Mu Yen took Yunlan and the others around to a small path and circled in front of Yungu and the others. Sure enough, after 500 meters, on a low mound, they found traces of a Tier 5 snow leopard. What are you 3 waiting for? First come first serve, don't you want to complete your mission? Lu Muyen leaned on a big tree, pointed to the snow leopard not far away and looked at the three that hadn't completed their missions indolently. She had hunted and killed 10 initial phase tier 5 demonic beasts already, and also gradually found that feeling of doing something to her heart's content. So it wasn't that she didn't want to help the three of them kill the demonic beasts, but she hoped that they would grow up on their own. The trial mission of slaying tier 5 demonic beasts a level above them wasn't just a test for those who participated in the trial, but it was also to hone their combat skills and survivability. The three of them were dazed for a moment when they heard Lu Muyan's words, then two figures quickly dashed out and went straight for the snow leopard. Xiao Xiang, who was a half-beat behind, cursed, then also charged over quickly. The three men besieged and scrambled for that one snow leopard. In the end, it was Yunjin who played a trick that caused the other two to be half-step slower when they were about to kill the snow leopard, and successfully scooped out the snow leopard's crystal core. He held it in his hands and waved it at Lu Muyen and the rest, a face of smugness. And it was at this moment that Yungu and her team also found this low mound. But when they saw the snow leopard's crystal core in Yunjin's hands, their complexion wasn't very good. Lu Muyen, didn't you say Thaddeus wouldn't let us even touch the fur of a tier 5 demonic beast? Why is the person who killed the demonic beast my royal elder brother? Weren't you quite capable before? Yungu saw that the person who slayed the snow leopard wasn't Lu Muyen, so her heart relaxed, and she couldn't help but ridicule. Lu Muyen sneered, did I ever say that I'll do it myself? Why should I bother exerting my mental effort when someone could exert themselves instead? I'm not as stupid as you. Yungu trembled with anger. Lu Muyen, that bitch actually dared say she was stupid. It was truly unforgivable. Except, she only got to say one word and was stopped by Ji Han Su behind her, whose brows were furrowed. Lu Muyen did only say that she wouldn't even allow them to touch a demonic beast, but she didn't say that she would do it herself. What's the use of arguing about these things now? He became more and more angry with Yungu within. Enough. Now isn't the time to argue. Let's hurry up and find the next tier 5 demonic beast. No one in the two teams had completed their first trial mission yet. If they followed this trend, they could really be eliminated. Ji Han Su intensely regretted why he would team up with Yungu. The worries in Ji Han Su's heart, Yungu naturally thought of too. She sure didn't want to be eliminated in the first round of the trial mission, so she could only glare at Lu Muyen unwillingly and say ruthlessly, Lu Muyen, just you wait. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I await your esteemed self one anytime. Lu Muyen chuckled nonchalantly. A character like Yungu couldn't even compare to Gu Yanran. She really didn't pay attention to her, and she didn't have time to play with her even more. If she wanted to cause trouble, then she'll just accompany her whenever necessary. The young man also glared at Lu Muyen, trash, just you want and see. Hearing the word trash, Lu Muyen's pretty eyes narrowed. In the following 2 days, a similar scenario was acted out in the boundary of the outer ring and inner ring in the glacial mountain range time and again. Just when the trial students of the two teams found a trail of their target tier 5 demonic beast, Lu Muyen and her group would always be ahead of them one step, not more nor less, and every time the groups arrived, the demonic beast would always just happen to be slayed. Indeed, not a single fur was left for them. Lu Muyen, have you played enough games? Ji Han Su changed from his usual cheerful laughter to an expression that carried slight grimness as he looked at the dead demonic beasts on the ground. Lu Muyen wrapped her fingers around a strand of shiny black hair, raised an eyebrow and said, didn't your people let me do this? Of course it's not enough. Lu Muyen, those two offended you, but we haven't. Isn't it too much of you to keep robbing our target demonic beasts? The leader of the other group of students from the Empire Academy couldn't help but step forward and say. Lu Muyen tilted her head to look at Xiao Xiang and asked, did I kill that demonic beast? No, Yunjin killed it. Xiao Xiang shook his head cooperatively. Lu Muyen shrugged to the group of people not far away and said, "Did you hear that? The one who snatched your target demonic beast was Yunjin, so what's it got to do with me?" Both teams were all rather angered by that careless, unscrupulous tone. It was true that she wasn't the one who killed the demonic beasts. But making the connection with the powdered drugs from before that could make demonic beasts unable to move temporarily, prepared by Lu Muyen, they all concluded that it was definitely Lu Muyen's masterpiece for them to always, coincidentally, be that one step ahead in finding a Tier 5 demonic beast. Yunjin's eyelids couldn't help but twitch, and he didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Just who was the one who ordered him to go fight before? Lu Muyen, do you really want everyone in our two teams to be eliminated? Ji Han-su suppressed the anger in his chest and calmly asked as he looked at Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen swept across Ji Han-su with a look as if saying he was stupid, then said slowly, "I've got no grievances against you guys. Why do I want to eliminate everyone in your two teams? I'm betting with them, not you guys. Isn't it fine if you just don't follow them?" After hearing her say that, the rest also had a revelation, and they secretly blamed Yungu and the young boy. The two thought they were so amazing and wanted to gamble with Lu Muyen before, but now they were all being held back because of the two. Lu Muyen caught the looks on the people opposite, then reminded them kindly with a smile, "There's only one day remaining in the trial. You all better hurry up." Neither of the two teams could do anything to her, and they couldn't delay any more time even more. In order to complete the trial mission, they all regrouped, then quickly went to other places to look for Tier 5 demonic beasts. Ji Han-su also left Yungu, who was pestering him, quickly leaving with the other two members of the Imperial family. They didn't have a lot remaining to complete the mission, so there was still hope to complete it in a day. According to Mo Yan's prompt, there weren't many Tier 5 demonic beasts within the few thousand li nearby, and those that were left were all at advanced phase or peak phase Tier 5 strength. These people would still have a fierce battle left to fight. With Yungu and the young man's strength, the possibility of hunting down Tier 5 demonic beasts individually was practically zero. Lu Muyen also lost the interest to continue playing with Yungu and the boy. Xiao Xiang and the other two had also completed their missions, so there was no need for them to continue into the inner ring's border anymore. The best translation I could give for the words, Dijia, as of now. It literally translates to large carriage and figuratively is used to refer to someone powerful in status, or simply to be polite by referring to them as, and is often used as, meaning we are honored by your presence. It can also be used figuratively to refer to the emperor, amongst many other words. In this case, Lu Muyan saying great self sarcastically. Note, I've been changing some terminology recently. Nothing big, but I did change Imperial Academy to Empire Academy recently. I can't remember if I changed anything else, and I don't remember if I mentioned everything I changed. But these terminology changes are on purpose, haha. To make it consistent, I also go back to the previous chapters and change it all, unless I missed some accidentally, so it's possible some terminology might be different to what you remember. It's not the author changing it, it's me changing the translation to better suit the Chinese terms. I'm bored like that, and maybe it's the tiny perfectionist in me, ha ha ha. If it is the author changing something where there's typos, if it's major, I might note it, if it's not that major, I might just translate it and not feel like making a note. I made a bunch of edits already and I don't think I mentioned every single one, so yeah. Sorry if there's confusion though. Chapter 89, Second Mission. The two teams just now came quickly and went quickly. Not even a cup of tea's worth of time later, only Yungu and that young boy were left. Lu Muyen snapped her fingers and addressed Yunjin and the others, let's return and hand in the mission. Xiao Xiang's eyes swept across the two people whose expressions were exceptionally ugly and asked, Muyen, we're not going to compete with them anymore. Lu Mu Yan glanced at him faintly. Do you think they can deal with a tier 5 demonic beast with their strength? Xiao Xiang looked at the two again. They were both sword spirit strength, so he shook his head. Naturally, it's impossible for the two to deal with tier 5 demonic beasts. He was an advanced phase sword spirit, but when he was slaying the 10 tier 5 demonic beasts earlier for the mission, he used items like pills, spirit treasures, talismans and the like that he had on him. From time to time, he even had to rely on Lu Mu Yan and the others to barely be able to complete the mission. As for the two opposite, if they were to rely on their own strength, they definitely wouldn't be able to complete the mission. Exactly, so why waste time with them here? Lu Mu Yan walked towards a small path with Mo Yan in her arms, then made a hand gesture to the others. Let's go and hand in the mission. All right. Yun Lan and the others also ignored the existence of Yun Ge and the boy and left together. With tears of grievance and resentment in Yun Ge's eyes, she took a deep breath and said to the young man beside her, "We're just going to let them go like this? Otherwise, what do we do? The two of us aren't their opponents at all." The young boy had always been the master of deceiving good and fearing evil. Even if he secretly despised in his heart right now, he didn't dare cause trouble for Lu Mu Yan in front of her. After he returned to the Imperial capital, he had many ways to find the ground he lost today. Yun Ge stomped her foot and glared at Lu Mu Yan's back that had long disappeared, then turned around and headed in the direction Ji Han Su went. She was also considered an expert when she was training in the Empire Academy's secret grounds, but only after entering the glacial mountain range did she realize she was, in actual fact, the very bottom of existence, and could only rely on Ji Han Su. So if she didn't want to be eliminated, she could only go find Ji Han Su. The young man gritted his teeth and followed in Yun Ge's footsteps to find Ji Han Su and the others together, but in his heart he had the decision to give up the trial. With his strength, it would be as hard as climbing the heavens if he wanted to seize one of the 6 places of the trial. Lu Mu Yan took the few people around waves after waves of demonic beasts, and it took only half a day to return to the wooden hut for the trial mission. Mu Yan, your fire cloud mixture is really powerful. Not only can it find spiritual stones and spiritual herbs, it can also help avoid demonic beasts at least hundreds of meters away. It was really worth that much ink gold coins back then. Yun Jin couldn't help but sigh with mixed emotions the moment he entered the wooden hut. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were truly sharp. She could even see the potential in such a spirit pet. She was truly abnormal. A smile rose on Lu Mu Yan's lips and she stretched out her hand to smooth Mo Yan's fur who was in her arms. That's only natural, how can me spirit pet be lacking? Xiao Xiang rolled his eyes. Lu Mu Yan, I've discovered that you really don't have any of the reservations that girls have. So what? Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow. Why must she have the reservedness that girls should have? Even if I have a reserved side, I shouldn't show it to you. Then who'll you show it to? Xiao Xiang smiled like a curious little baby at Lu Mu Yan as he glanced at Qi Yi Xian in his peripheral vision and found that he had stiffened. Upon hearing Xiao Xiang's question, Yun Lan and the others also curiously awaited Lu Mu Yan's answer. Lu Mu Yan took out a pot of spiritual tea and began to brew it. Her hand movements were elegant and methodical, and only after a while did she say slowly, "Of course I'll show it to my future husband." Pfft, Lu Mu Yan, you really have no shame. Just look at how old you are and you're already thinking about your future husband. Xiao Xiang laughed aloud. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yan's beautiful eyes lightly narrowed at Xiao Xiang, causing him to shudder. He immediately shut his mouth. When this woman plotted against someone, it came in sets. It was best that he didn't offend her. Then what kind of husband does Mu Yan want to find in the future? Yun Jin approached Lu Mu Yan and asked with a smile. Lu Mu Yan was dazed for a moment. She seemed to have never thought about what sort of man she wanted as a husband in the future. In her past life, she was pursued by numerous men, as if schools of crucian carps in a river won, but there was no appearance of a man that could make her heart beat. She unconsciously rubbed the ice bangle on her wrist and a red figure surfaced in her mind. Then she chuckled and shook her head. Why did she think of that devilish man? Her originally confused eyes instantly regained their clarity, and she said with a light smile, "Who knows about things in the future? Let's talk about it when I meet someone who can make my heart beat for him." Her words were also equivalent to rejecting all the men present here. Although unintentional, but it had made the few, aside from Xiao Ziong and Lu Mu Bai, who were originally in high spirits, downcast. Lu Mu Yan had actually faintly noticed that Yun Lan and Yun Jin were both slightly interested in her, but she didn't feel any attraction to them, so it was impossible to accept them. As for Qi Yi Xian, it was even more impossible. For a while, the atmosphere in the wooden hut was a little gloomy. Lu Mu Bai drank his tea as he stroked the blue and white porcelain teacup, the corners of his mouth curled up. His younger sister was just too outstanding. He didn't want to let her marry out so early either. Though he wondered just who could be worthy enough for his younger sister who was like a pearl, like a jewel, in the future. Around an hour later, Yun Sung walked in from outside the wooden hut. Seeing these people sitting inside, he wasn't surprised either. After examining their respective demonic beast corpses, he assigned the second trial mission to them. Wonderful, congratulations for successfully completing your first trial mission. Yun Song's wrinkled old face revealed a rare smile. You don't need to wait for the others. You guys can just start the second trial mission. Then he distributed a list for everyone, filled with many words. After the several people read through the list, he said, "This is the mission list for each one of you. You must find at least 2/3 of the items to pass and advance to the next part of the trial. Less than 2/3, then you'll be eliminated and sent back to the Imperial capital." Xiao Ziong stretched out his head and studied Yun Lan and Lu Mu Yan's lists, and found that they were all different. He raised his head and asked Yun Song, "Imperial teacher, why do we all have different mission lists to complete?" "Ha, of course your missions lists are all different. Although I said that you can still team up for the second trial mission, but I didn't say that your missions would be the same." Yun Sung swept over them with a look of fun in his eyes, then said, "Originally, the duration of this mission is still 5 days, but you all have completed the first trial mission a day in advance, so it'll give you an extra day's time. 6 days later, return here to hand in your mission. Let me remind you that if you form a team to look for items on this list one by one, then at most you could only complete the missions of 2 people. So this mission tests your individual survivability and adaptive skills. Then doesn't that mean we can't form a team anymore?" Yun Jin furrowed his brows. "There's so many mission items on this list, and there's no marked map, so how do we find them? Whether you want to form a team or not is up to you, but it's only efficient if you complete this mission individually. So think about it yourself." Yun Sung smiled profoundly. "As for how you'll search for the items on the paper, it all depends on your respective abilities. Otherwise, do you think it's that easy to obtain one of the 6 places? Alright, after you prepare, you can start your mission." As soon as Yun Sung finished speaking, in a flash, he disappeared from the wooden hut. Lu Mu Yan held the mission list in her hands, and there was a smile brimming in the bottom of her eyes. The opportunity to individually go search for the deep orchid had come. At the same time, a man who wore a silver mask and flamboyant red clothes also took 2 people into the boundary between the outer ring and inner ring of the glacial mountain range. One pretty straightforward, Alatov men pursued Lu Mu Yan. An idiom that comes from a historical event. Note, Yay MXXLMY fans, including myself, will probably love the following few chapters. Just don't complain about their relationship developing too fast because I'm here all for that development. XD. After Yun Song left, the several people looked at the mission list in their hands again, then exchanged glances. Looks like we have to complete the missions separately. Lu Mubai placed his teacup down and put away the list. Yunlan and the rest could only nod in agreement. It would be impossible to find so many items on the list without completing the missions separately. Then I'll leave first. You guys be careful. Yun Luo stood up and said before leaving the wooden hut. Qi Yi Xian glanced at Lu Mu Yen deeply, and the hand that held the list tightened. Then he also stood up and said, I'm leaving too. Mu Yen and you all, be careful. Let's go. See you all in 6 days. Everyone take care. Lu Mu Yen finished the tea in her cup, then stood up and said to the several people with a smile. Although Lu Mubai felt uneasy about his younger sister, but he also hoped that she could grow up independently. His eyes carried some encouragement. Yenner, be careful on your way. If you encounter anyone or a demonic beast that you can't beat, then run. Your life is the most important. Yep, elder brother too. Lu Mu Yen carried warmth in her eyes. Mu Yen, be careful. Hey, race a signal flare of the Imperial family. If something happens, you can release this signal and welcome as soon as possible. Yunlan took out a small, black wooden box from his interspatial ring and handed it to Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen took the wooden box and nodded with a smile. Elder cousin brother, you guys also need to be careful. It's really boring to do missions alone. Xiao Xiang said listlessly. Yun Jin patted him on the shoulder and said, Brother, you take good care of yourself. Make sure not to be eliminated. You too. Alright, we're talking as if we'll be separated for a long time. I'm leaving too. Xiao Xiang sighed with a bit of reluctance in his eyes. But this was what they must experience. And he was afraid that if he continued to delay this, he wouldn't want to go out to complete the mission alone anymore, so he quickly walked out of the wooden hut. Let's go too. Lu Mu Yen was also a bit affected by everyone's emotions. All right. 2 hours later, Lu Mu Yen entered a hillside blooming with fresh flowers. She walked over, looked around the densely packed flowers of various colors, then finally uprooted a small pink-yellow flower among them and put it away. Finished 1 mission item, still 19 more to look for. Lu Mu Yen left the hillside and said to Mo Yen in her arms. Mo Yan's indifferent eyes were as calm as water, you can find it all in a day. Lu Mu Yan's eyes curved as she reached out her hand and rubbed Mo Yan's furry head, then said with a smile, your talent for finding spiritual herbs and spiritual items really is heaven-defying. After we finish finding the 20 mission items, you'll first find a place to help you refine the pill. Mo Yan's brows were knitted tightly together as he looked up at Lu Mu Yen unhappily and said, don't rub my head. He, a king that reigned over a portion of the demonic world, was actually being rubbed on the head by a human woman. If other demonic clans knew, wouldn't he be laughed to death? Rubbing your head shows intimacy. Since we're life and death partners, it's just rubbing your head, what does it matter? Mo Yen, sometimes you're really quarrelsome. Lu Mu Yen pursed her lips. She definitely wouldn't admit that it was because Mo Yan's furry head felt too good that she couldn't help but want to touch it. Mo Yen took a deep breath. Lu Mu Yen really evoked a lot of emotions that he hadn't felt for many years. He told himself inwardly not to argue with this woman. In the glacial mountain range, there was a white silhouette that whizzed and darted about, with speed comparable to even a Tier 4 flying-type demonic beast. After Lu Mu Yen advanced to Sword Spirit Master, the silk mist steps that's a part of her flash step manual had become a slight burden. So she utilized a faster footwork within the flash step, drifting towards the position indicated by Mo Yen. It seems that I should contract a flying-type demonic beast as a mount. Using flash step non-stop really wastes a lot of spiritual energy. After putting the 15th mission item into her interspatial ring, Lu Mu Yen muttered to herself. Mo Yan wasn't too shocked by Lu Mu Yan's ghostly skills anymore. Instead, he felt that no matter what amazing things this woman did, it was all normal. He also agreed with her thoughts. Your skills that can move and change steps is more suitable for combat. Using it for travel wastes too much energy and the speed's much slower than that of a demonic beast. Contracting a flying-type demonic beast sounds good. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, then you pay attention. If there's a demonic beast that's not that bad, well up and get it. Lu Mu Yan couldn't help but rub Mo Yan's furry head again. Mo Yan lowered his eyes to hide the helplessness in them. Forget it, hell, just let this woman do as she liked. Alright. Keep going, the ice serpent fruit should be in that mountain. Mo Yan probed the area using his innate talent calmly, then said as he looked towards the ice mountain in the far east. Lu Mu Yan took out a bottle of elemental energy replenishing pills. She didn't rest and utilized her flash step straight towards the ice mountain. Half a day passed, and Lu Mu Yan clutched a green fruit as she ran, in a rather sorry state. The roar of demonic beasts echoed from behind incessantly. Only after the demonic beast auras behind her gradually distanced and disappeared did she leap onto a big tree to recover her strength, gasping. After taking an elemental energy replenishing pill, she put the green fruit into her interspatial ring and said to Mo Yan with lingering fear, "Just now it was all thanks to your pressure as a royal species that stopped them for a few breaths, otherwise it would have been dangerous today." They also encountered a lot of demonic beasts guarding when searching for the mission items, but she easily obtained them. Except, when they were looking for the last mission item, they attracted 4 Tier 5 demonic beasts to attack, and one of them was even a late-stage Tier 5 mammoth. She used a lot of methods, plus Mo Yan releasing his innate talent once, to be able to shake off those demonic beasts. "I believe that even if we couldn't shake them off, you'd still be able to take care of them." Mo Yan stood on Lu Mu Yan's shoulder and spoke calmly. Lu Mu Yan rolled her eyes at him. "I can take care of them, but maybe I'd have to use my trump cards." "I sure do want to see just what trump cards you have left." Mo Yan just saw Lu Mu Yan use another skill he hadn't seen before, and his curiosity grew even deeper. Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow. "You want to know?" "I won't tell you." Mo Yan's dark eyes deepened. He was already accustomed to the little temper that this woman occasionally exposed. He didn't answer, closed his eyes, and began to rest. Lu Mu Yan's lips curved up and didn't say any more either. After setting up an array to hide her aura, she took a pill to recover. 4 hours later, she opened her eyes and poked the little white beast lying in front of her. "I've recovered, Mo Yan, let's go find a place to refine pills." "Let's go find the deep orchid you want first." "You can refine pills anytime." Mo Yan opened his eyes and said lightly. Lu Mu Yan thought a bit, then nodded. "That's fine too." "Have you detected the deep orchid's aura?" "Not the deep orchid's aura, but I did find the demonic beast, the Scarlet Frost Jiao one that's guarding it. It's a 2 hours journey to the west." "Let's go." After Mo Yan finished speaking, he leapt onto Lu Mu Yan's shoulder and closed his eyes to rest again. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were filled with joy. Was she finally going to find it? 2 hours later, Lu Mu Yan stood near a deep lake wound in green mist with furrowed brows as she observed her surroundings. "Someone's coming." Mo Yan's voice suddenly resounded in her sea of consciousness. At the same time, a mental energy locked onto her location. The other party had already discovered them, and it was too late to escape. Alertness flashed across the bottom of Lu Mu Yan's eyes, and she turned to look towards the woods not far away. Not long afterwards, she saw 3 people walk out of the woods. The leader amongst them was tall, wore a silver mask, and his red clothes billowed in the wind, flamboyant and uninhibited. Ming Xiu's eyes were dyed with a layer of a smile, and he looked at the gorgeous, stunning, white-clothed woman opposite him as his thin lips opened. "Woman, we meet again. 1. For some reason the author really likes the word red/crimson, lol. She named the Jiao, the Cold Mist Jiao, in chapter 85, and now she's naming this Jiao the Scarlet Cold Jiao. Which reminds me of what I translated before, Chihua Continent, uses the same chi. I thought the one in this chapter and Chihua Continent are both typos, but for once I'm translating ahead and she keeps using Scarlet Frost Jiao. Which makes me remember that she has changed the names of previous demonic beasts too, and she's stuck with the changed name instead of the original, so most likely this Jiao is stuck with Scarlet Frost Jiao now. As for Chihua Continent, that's most likely a typo. I'll fix it up when I have to eventually. Now, why do I get the feeling it's the name of a continent in one of her other series, or a kingdom in one of her other series? Can't remember now. Chapter 91, How About Being Your Man? When she saw that the person who walked out was Ming Xiu, Lu Mu Yan was inexplicably relieved, and when she heard the other party's magnetic voice again, her lips curled up into an arc. Ming Xiu. Lu Mu Yan said the two words lightly, wondering why this guy came here. Woman, what are you doing here? Ming Xiu walked until he stopped in front of Lu Mu Yan and looked at her with deep eyes. Lu Mu Yan chuckled, raised her eyes, and said, "And what are you doing here?" Hearing Lu Mu Yan speaking to Ming Xiu in such a way, the middle-aged man who followed couldn't help but reveal slight shock. Master had never been so friendly to anyone before. Meanwhile the eyes of the other enchanting woman were cold and unkind. Take a guess. Ming Xiu leaned closer to Lu Mu Yan and his warm breath hit her ears. Lu Mu Yan's eyes darkened and didn't avoid him as she stared directly at the flamboyant and domineering man, for the Scarlet Frost Jiao, or for the Deep Orchid. A devilish smile rose on Ming Xiu's lips, and their breaths intertwined. His long and thin eyes narrowed slightly. What if this highness wants both? This woman actually came to this place, then it must be for the Deep Orchid. Lu Mu Yan stretched her hand out and poked Ming Xiu's sturdy chest, pushing him a step away, then said calmly, "I want the Deep Orchid." Pfft. An initial phase sword spirit cultivation base sword master also wants the Deep Orchid. What a joke. The enchanting woman behind sneered, her tone carrying thick contempt. It was because she relied on her status as Ming Xiu's right guardian, that she could ridicule this beautiful girl that she found extremely unpleasing to the eye. Her master had never liked being close to others and kept at least 3 feet away from anyone, yet who knew that he would be so intimate with a little girl that suddenly appeared from nowhere? A sense of crisis rushed up to Mo Lan's heart. Lu Mu Yan's gaze shifted to the enchanting and bewitching woman, but didn't directly reply, then immediately retrieved her gaze, raised an eyebrow, and looked at Ming Xiu, saying, "Your dog's barking." "What did you say?" Mo Lan's enchanting face suddenly changed. The pressure of a sword monarch was fully exerted, and she pressed it towards Lu Mu Yan. Lu Mu Yan's eyes chilled. Was it that now everyone wanted to squish her like a soft peach one? Just when she was about to mobilize a mental energy tempest within her sea of consciousness, she saw the man before her gently wave his sleeve, and that pressure instantly disappeared. He didn't even look at the woman behind him as he uttered some cold words. "Mo Lan, go to the criminal law hall yourself for 3 months. Master." Mo Lan's eyes were full of disbelief. She bit her lip and addressed aggrievedly. 1 year. Go yourself. Ming Xiu turned and looked at Mo Lan with a cold expression. The grievances in Mo Lan's heart expanded infinitely. Master had never punished her to go to the criminal law hall, and yet this time, he actually punished her because of that little bitch. Just when she wanted to speak, she was stopped by the middle-aged man beside her. "You know Master's temper. If you say any more, you won't just be going for a year." The man whispered to Mo Lan. There was reluctance in Mo Lan's eyes. She raised her head and looked at Ming Xiu, but her heart trembled from the dissatisfaction in that pair of cold eyes. It seemed that Master was really angry. Master's temperament was really impermanent, sometimes devilish, sometimes cold, sometimes gentle. She didn't know which was the real him at all, but once he was angry, whoever dared to disobey, they definitely wouldn't end well. Mo obeys. Mo retrained the insidiousness in her eyes, lowered her head and replied respectfully. Ever since she started following Master, she had adored him. She only wished that one day too, he would have her in his heart, and even take her as his wife. So she couldn't tolerate any woman getting close to Mingxiu. She remembered that woman in her heart, and one day, she would definitely make her die without a grave. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, go. Mingxiu furrowed his brows and the devilish smile had long disappeared, replaced by a cold look. Mo pinched her palm tightly. She didn't want to leave. She raised her head and looked at Mingxiu, her eyes watery and aggrieved, saying, Master, after the matters at the glacial mountain range is finished, Mo will go back to be punished. No need. Go now. Currently, Mingxiu truly despised the deep adoration in Mo Lan's eyes to the extremes. There was no need for a guardian who didn't know her own place to continue to be by his side. But, Pu. Mo wanted to argue again, but with a casual swing of Mingxiu's arm, she was struck back by a powerful elemental energy wave, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Get lost. Mingxiu's patience had almost been exhausted. He could already be considered indulging in Mo, but he didn't allow her to have any inordinate ambitions. Especially that insidious gaze cast towards Lu Muyen, it made killing intent rise within him. Mo obeys. Mo clutched her chest in terror, then said, unreconciled, and left. After turning around, her enchanting face became distorted, but she didn't bear grudges against Mingxiu. Instead, she placed this debt all on Lu Muyen. When she came out of the criminal law hall, she would make sure that this woman would feel better off dead. Lu Muyen's mental energy was very powerful, so she naturally found the hostility in killing Mo had towards her, but she merely sneered in her heart. She raised her head and glared at Mingxiu. It was all this guy's fault for attracting Rotten Peach Blossom 3 dead, yet what did it have to do with her? Although she wasn't afraid of that Mo, but she really was being innocently involved in all this. You sure could bear hurting her. Lu Muyen was upset, and her eyes carried a meaningful, profound look of ridicule. Mingxiu's phoenix eyes grew deep, and an unprecedented anger rose in his chest. He hated this little woman looking at him with eyes that carried ridicule. He stretched out his hand and gently squeezed Lu Muyen's chin, brought his head closer until the tips of their nose almost touched and said coldly, Woman, you're not allowed to use that look to look at this highness. Why not? Who are you to me? Why do I have to listen to you? Lu Muyen sneered. No one had ever dared to squeeze her chin. Who? Mingxiu pondered for a while, released the hand that squeezed her chin, then suddenly placed his lips on Lu Muyen's lips, but only a touch, before immediately leaving, with eyes that carried dark, non-dissolvable ink. He spoke with an arrogant, domineering manner, his voice deep and sexy. How about being your man? He had always hated physical contact with people, and hated the rouge smell on women even more, but he didn't expect that when he approached this woman, there would actually be an urge to have a taste of her flavor. The result was, he found that the taste of a woman's soft, glutinous, warm lips was actually pretty good. Be my man. Lu Muyen's bright eyes were currently filled with obscure colors. She was actually kissed by this man. For the first time in her 2 lives was she treated like this by a man. As the spiritual world's female immortal, how could she allow herself to be so easily flirted with by a man? After a pause, she suddenly stretched out her hand and wrapped her arms around Mingxiu's neck. Her red lips kissed his, but it also didn't linger long. When they parted, her lips revealed slight playfulness, and she said, "It seems Monarch Ming's flavor isn't that good." After speaking, she turned and walked forward, but ripples rose in her originally calm heart. The gaze beneath Ming Xiu's mask deepened, and the sexy, thin lips rose into an exceedingly devilish arc. This woman sure was courageous, but she damnably matched his appetite. The original saying is soft persimmon, so when someone squeezes a soft persimmon it means they take them as weak and easy to bully. Here it seems the author wants to be creative and say soft peach. Too well, so I'm pretty sure, for some weird reason, they censored the word or which means day, again. It happened last time in chapter who knows what, and it's happened again because I am certain that word fits in this context since it's something that everyone says one day this, one day that etc. Why so specific? Haha, 3 peach blossom is often used to in many instances to describe love interests or love-related things. For example, to have peach blossom luck means that the person is lucky in love. In this case, to attract rotten peach blossoms, it means to have attracted unwanted love. For just looking at someone really, really, really deeply. Note, I warned you guys the development was rather fast. But oh my, I actually forgot that kiss happened, haha. And oh my, I forgot Lu Mu Yen returned the favor to him too, haha. XD more to come. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.